This is one of the reasons why, as soon as they get pissed off, they bring up our culture of wearing chains and all of this with the rap and the gold. But that's what you love the most, correct? That's what y'all hyper imitate the most when you get over here, right? So I asked
That's
some of
old
these
news. People
foreigners,
waking up, man. That shit is old.
right? I asked some of these foreigners, like, especially the men, the young men who want to be artists, entertainers here in America, but you know, they from back somewhere else. Like, you imitating the Black American boy, right? How's that been working out for you? How has
Yeah,
that been working out for you? It
that's
hasn't. And let me tell you why. Because you don't know that man's story. You better off keeping your own culture and identity here in America than trying to imitate us. Because you taking on an identity that you can't even hold. And it's effing you up, bro. You wondering why he having success in standing in whatever that man chooses to stand in, but when you do it, it ain't working for you and you end up in jail, or you end up not having the success you think you're gonna have because you're copying someone else's culture and trying to take their identity without knowing how they got it. Okay.
Right. If you
And they
if we don't have a culture, why y'all rocking Caesars? Why y'all
thank
yeah.
you.
rapping? Why y'all
Hold
Why
putting
on.
on
you
Jordan? Why you
rapping?
There's some people who
man?
haven't spoken yet, so let's get and I completely agree. Our culture, you got to have the culture to reinforce, okay, that energy, and they don't come from our culture, and they try to abandon it. You can't emulate somebody else's culture and history. You can't do that. You're from a different place, and y'all don't want to represent where you're from. For real, for real, you really don't.
What the Latino people bumping in their lowriders? It ain't their music. Who they playing? The old people from the
Facts.
soul Motown. You understand?
Motown, our
Low
is.
ride culture came from Black Americans anyway.
Come on, bro. Like, let's keep it real. And for the guy, the Rasta dude is talking about we don't own land. Like I said before, they awarded 1.25 billion to black farmers. Why would they give it to somebody who don't own land? And just because we're not out here parading our accolades, don't mean they don't exist. There's plenty of people out here moving, getting jobs, getting in. We talking to one another. We're not putting everything on Front Street because we already know the enemy is trying to slow it down anyway. We're
Facts.
patting each other on the back in our neighborhoods, at our barbecues, at our parties, going to co-workers parties. The state of Georgia is 43% African American. Majority of those people own their homes, own businesses,
Preach.
own movie studios. Cat Williams just bought one. Man, like, majority of the billionaires in the world, who are they? Like, so don't come up here and try to minimalize what we've done, what we're currently doing, because you've seen a couple scenes on TikTok, because you've seen some videos on, and those are the only ones you're showing. You're not posting up the positive shit. You're not posting up the young girl, what's her name, that just graduated from Arizona University, got her doctorate at 18. Why are we not showing these things? So don't come on here trying to take our people down to a minimal scale, like we don't matter, like we haven't done anything, and we aren't continue to do things. And FBA is a big term. It's new. I personally love it, but I'm humble, so it's hard for me to stand on it because I wish I was back there with Martin Luther King. I wish I was back there with Whitney Young, with my elders. So I'm still taking a liking to it. I stand on it, but because I'm a humble dude, I feel like I got to do more to earn that. But I stand on that. And everybody in my who share my love for my people, we understand, and it's nothing to be explained, and it's nothing to be to talk to people who don't matter. If you don't care about what we are trying to do, then stay out of it, because nobody's jumping into these different arenas, like you said, in the Asian community, in the Latin community, East Indian, and trying to tell them what to do and how to move. We are coming on one accord, slowly but surely, and we are making progress. And as
Yeah,
soon as
so,
y'all look up, it's gonna be one and done.
so one of the things that I actually do is I bring data and verifiable statistics into a discussion. Okay, so over 80% of Black Americans are middle class or better. That's the majority, right? The poverty rate for Black Americans is about 17%. Now, at one point, I think about somewhere between 5 to 7 years ago, maybe 10 years ago, whatever it was over 20%. Now, obviously, as Black Americans, we do have the highest poverty rate. We have to recognize that. But remember, in other racial groups, they got poverty as well. I think for white and Asians, it's like somewhere between 9 to 11%. Hispanics is pretty close to ours. So where's all of this coming from? Like it's as if
Lies.
it's as if if what you're gonna do, if all you're gonna do is find the worst people in any group and then and put that on the entire group, well, we can do that for everybody else.
Black on black crime is a made up word. You understand? We're 12% of the population, but we attribute to 80% of the crime. Make that make sense. The Afrikaners that they just brought over as for asylum in America, a man already unalived his 2 daughters and wife. Go look that up.
Yeah, let's be clear. In America, the white population commits the overwhelming majority of the crimes. I don't want to hear per capita. By raw data, they are absolutely they commit the most crimes. Literally, you can go right to the FBI crime data, and it's right there in your
It will
face.
show you exactly.
The reason they use per capita is to try to distort the fact that they have the most crimes by raw numbers, and they try to actually, misrepresent. And my thing is, I don't even know why they bring up crime at all, because again, they have by raw numbers, they're the largest population. They commit the most crimes. They commit the most violent crimes, and the only reason they say per capita is to try to distract from their own criminal pathology. That's really all it is. And
And then when they say we get unalived by the police,
I
right?
shut it down.
When they laugh about how they say we get unalived by the police, and then you look at them and you go, like, let's say Africa, you going to see what's going on with them. Their own police officers that look like them is unaliving them and laughing about it and getting away with it in huge numbers.
That's what I was saying about the whole per capita thing. Notice they use the per capita only when it comes to our group of people. They only use it when it comes to FBA. They use per capita when they want to skew the numbers. When the raw numbers don't match the narrative that they want to spew, they say, well, per capita, and they use different type of mathematic qualifications and stuff like that. They use that only when the actual data doesn't verify and back up their narrative. They'll say, well, hold on. That's why when he was there before, he was all like, oh, we did better than you. We do better than you. But per capita, which isn't really the case. And the thing is that you only, and I said, okay, well, per capita, why are Asians doing better than you guys? Oh, well, that's different. No, you guys don't believe
Can I ask
actually
you a
in per
question about
capita.
that too?
You guys are only using that so you guys can push a narrative, and you guys try to create the numbers. You guys try to use statistics as some type of rationale, and you use per capita to verify the statistics, to skew the numbers in your favor that verifies a narrative that is anti-black. So we're just not, we're hip to
They
it.
co-opt all right talking points. And that's
Honest
why we're
question.
delineating, because they try to fly under the model minority myth, and that's their way to other themselves from us. And they've been doing it for decades. And now that we've delineated ourselves from them, they don't know what to do. They're losing their minds right now. And I love it. I love seeing our people standing on code, sticking together. But that's what they do. They co-opt alt-right talking points. We've seen it with Sneeko. We've seen it with Myron Gaines. We've seen it with Candace Owens. This is what they do. And that's why we got to keep calling it out.
Okay, is he back? Okay. So,
I had a question though.
The immigrants are showing their shiny car, but they're not showing their house.
Everybody here. Let's let Lips, because she hasn't spoken. Lips and Froze. Go ahead.
First of all, I want to say peace to the panel and peace to the room.
Peace, Queen.
Thank you. I was coming up because I actually started following you, sir, on YouTube, and I was scrolling on TikTok and saw the live, and I was hanging out in the chat, and I decided to come up because I wanted to just give my 2 cents on the topic. I am FBA in Choctaw. All of it is mixed together for me. I'm really happy that the delineation movement is a thing, and we're really, really standing on business with this. Because, for me, as an FBA, I've actually seen it like we've all seen it. I'm here in California, a native Californian here, born and raised, and I've actually seen why the delineation movement is necessary. Growing up as a child and being around, really, really nice black neighborhoods starting out. I can remember as a child when the Latino communities started moving into our communities, and they were welcomed and received with open arms. And so much so we were helping them, figure out how to get to their local grocery stores and how to pay their bills and taking them to anywhere they need to go or whatever. And even with other communities of people, it can be the Jamaicans or the Haitians or any immigrant group that ended up coming into our neighborhoods. FBAs, we always welcomed them with open arms. And we always were supportive of them, and we treated them like one of us. And as time progressed and they got their businesses or they got a good leg up, they just continued to expand and grow while steady pushing us out.
Don't forget, we
And
support their businesses. We're
and
not haters.
yeah, absolutely. And they're gentrifying our communities and pushing us out of our communities. And you don't see any reflection of FBA in their workplaces, in their spaces. You never see any reflection of FBA in their housing and in their communities once they push you out of the communities. There's nothing that shows reverence and respect to the things that we've given to them foundationally since the beginning, the very, very beginning, and all the way up into now. And I'm surprised and shocked that they are upset and there's so much vitriol and hatred for our I can't even say it, delineation right now, and us standing on business with this. It's like, why are they even surprised at this point? We've had more than 50 years, give or take, with these immigrant classes that have come here. And all they've done is take, and crap on us in the process of them taking, and have our and all their negative stereotypes. And I want to point this out too. All these negative stereotypes that you see on television, like love and hip hop, when you start looking at the overall backgrounds of these cast members on these shows, all these are immigrant. All these are immigrant people. But because it's here in America, the world sees it as this is who America, FBA, this is who we are, when it's not at all. I don't know why they are upset. They're angry with us for saying, okay, we are FBA, we are the culture, this is our home. We've been here since before the foundations, period, point blank. Not all of us immigrated and came here on boats, because I'm a part of that group of people that didn't come here on boats. We was already here or whatever. And I just don't appreciate how they have all this smoke for us when when all we did was welcome them and put them in league and side by side with us. So if we're standing on business talking about this is our time and this is what we're here to do and this is the movement that we're pushing for ourselves, they need to just move to the side. If you're not here to help the cause, then move to the side. And why are you surprised that we not effing with you now? Why are you surprised? We've been dealing and interacting with these immigrant classes for more than 50 years. And this is how they behave. So don't be surprised when we're standing on business now and we're moving for us. Does anybody disagree with what I'm saying? Because I feel that in my spirit.
I
No,
mean,
no.
Right on.
Good
Right
information.
on.
Ms. Bats, I want to let some
Anderson
more
said,
people up, so we're gonna have to circle some people out. I'm gonna let people
So
get
listen, I'm going to hop down, but
You can
thank you for
drop me
having
too,
me.
let me say
host.
this last
Thanks,
thing,
y'all.
brother.
Thank you for
Thank you for
having
having
me.
me.
thank
I'm
you
going to
all for
drop down.
coming.
Let me say this last thing. Dr. Claude Anderson talks about all the immigrants who came here were allowed to get loans. All of the founders, so-called founders of the Americas, were awarded 100,000 acres of land each, and all the immigrant groups, the Irish, the Asian, the
Hmm.
Indians, not the ones, you know which one I'm talking about. I don't know if I can say that on there, Indian, but they were awarded 10 to 20,000 acres of land. We had to overcome all of that. So when they're giving out hundreds of thousands of acres of land, how you can't remake land. You can only acquire what's left. So know that. So starting from way back there, just keep that in mind. And we still making moves. We're still overcoming. So put that in your next rant when you come in here talking about us like that. I'm dropping down. Peace to all my FBAs and my foundational people. Continue to tell your family members to hold their heads high. It's okay to be a nerd. We need more doctors. We need more engineers, robotics, people in tech. because that's where we're going. It's not reversing. It's going forward from here. And you only get old when you stop learning. Not old as an age, but old as an outdated to what's going on around you. I'm out.
Appreciate you,
Okay.
brother. Thank you.
So Afro, I can go ahead and I actually came up here. Everybody kind of got me all riled up, and I had to fact check people. But I actually came up to talk to you just real quick, and then I'm going to buy out too.
Okay.
But to speak to the topic, it says what's everyone's issue with FBA? It basically look because Black Americans FBA we're not standing down from the racism. That's what the issue is.
Mhm.
We're really the only ones challenging America to actually do what's right. That's what their real problem is, and you don't see the Hispanics doing it. There's no Asians doing it. There's some, the white people as a collective aren't doing it. Nobody else is doing it. We're literally the only group that's actually challenging the racism, and basically, we want everybody to just basically get out of our way. That's it. Leave us alone, get out of our way, and let us do our own self-determination. And for whatever reason, and it's mainly because they don't want to see Black progression. They don't want to see Black empowerment. That they literally have to come into our mix, get involved, and try to undermine anything and everything that we're trying to do. And then they want to have the complaints about, well, why ain't y'all got this? Why ain't y'all got that? Black women literally started their own venture capital fund to open their own businesses, and you had a white conservative group take them to court to force them to shut it down. You got Black farmers out here being sabotaged and undermined. There was I just saw a story. I think it was down in Georgia. A group of people burned their farmland. This is the second time that they've done it. Farmers out in Colorado, like all of this stuff that Black people have to deal with, and for whatever reason, everybody's like, "Well, gee, what's wrong with y'all? Look, stay out of our way." That's what the issue is, and because we won't back down from that fight, and because they're being challenged against it, and that includes white people. They're getting called up for the nonsense, for all their racism and everything else. They like to say, we're not our ancestors. We didn't cause this problem. We didn't do this. Yeah, but you're upholding the system, and you still have racism that exists today, and you're still going against Black people today. So you get out of our way. We don't have anything. We don't have any issues. But that's that's part of their problem. And then the other part of it too is that we're doing what it is we're talking about, which is we're being selfish and doing stuff for ourselves. We've done enough to help everybody else. And there's this sense of it, and that's one thing I noticed. There's this sense of entitlement, like we're supposed to just jump on and sacrifice ourselves for everybody else and not get anything out of it. Look, if I don't mind helping you, but you know what? I'm going to get what I'm supposed to get. And if you're not helping me, then I don't need any reason to help you. But at any rate, and then the last thing was, hey man, I saw you at the rally, and you did a really good job.
Thank you.
My wife and I went there, and that's what I really came up to talk to you about. Just kind of, this is my first time actually talking to you, but I wanted to just kind of congratulate you on the job you did at the rally. But thanks. Keep doing what you're doing. You're doing a good job. We appreciate you, man.
Appreciate you, brother. Thank you. I appreciate your support. That's true. Yeah, we've been helping somebody, and then when you need help, they're never there for you. That's exploitation. That is exploitation. You doing something and not getting anything out of it, and people just using you for what they can get, and there's no reciprocity. That's exploitation, and our people have been exploited, and we've said, hey, we're done with that now. And now everybody's calling foul, crying foul. Yeah, it's
But
over.
I'm sorry. How you doing?
I'm good. How you doing?
We've been that type of people to invite everybody in. Hey, you need some help? Come on. We have done that to all marginalized people. And these people have treated us like dirt. They use us and they act like they don't know us. And they get all the benefits. And it's like now, it's like, okay, I feel bad, but what am I supposed to do? I gotta take care of myself and my family at this point, because you was thinking about me when I was in your store. It was following me around, being disrespectful, and you was, with any bad situation with another group of people. Like, these people have never had our backs unless they was making money off of us. I can go into a store right now. I can go into a 7-Eleven. The cashier will disrespect me, be nice, and then say something slick to me when I walk off for no reason. But they already got my money, right?
Mm-hmm.
We get
This is an
profiled
ongoing
at
thing.
these
You've
stores.
been on there like
This
that.
been going on for like 20 years, 30 years. These people don't respect us. They don't see us. They see us as a dollar and they joke behind our backs. And it's like, that's messed up. Because if it wasn't for the civil rights movement, they wouldn't even be here.
That's true.
We open that door, and that's our problem. We keep opening the door for everybody else. We need to stick together and focus on ourselves and not let nobody jump on the bandwagon. That's why I like how we doing it now. Y'all have y'all problem. We got our own problem. Let's focus on us.
Hmm. Yep, I agree. I agree.
Because every
Not
time it's a
only,
fight for us, we somebody jumping on it with us, and they get invited to the
mhm,
cookout, and then we get our rights, our respect, whatever we get, what little we get, they get it too.
and
No,
not only they wouldn't be here on this land, on this soil at all if it wasn't for us, right?
Facts.
But
exactly.
the thing is that not only that, when they got here, we continue to help them. When they got here, we continue to help their economy and stuff like that, which is why they feel so uncomfortable putting
And
their
that
store, the
lie,
restaurants in
that
our
lie,
neighborhoods.
that lie
And
that
we've been
all
helping them
them
the
cultures
entire way
tell.
through.
I hate that lie that my grandfather came here with 30 cents in his pocket. Okay, he went into the government office and got a whole bunch of money and a
Hmm.
house and some like it didn't stop like that. Our families didn't get that. They went to the welfare office, they got housing, they got money, and they was able to do stuff in this country.
Hmm. They,
Foundational black people, we
yeah,
were
but
not able to do that.
that they haven't. They've been saying that since for generate. They've really been saying
Every
that all for the most part since European
every
immigrants
culture,
came over
every
here.
culture, every
This is
culture.
why Dr. King had to say, and he made this be known a couple of times, or quite a few times. He's all like, y'all keep trying to make it seem like immigrants are doing better than us. The government is out here subsidizing them. The government's out here giving them free land, free houses, free jobs, giving
Exactly.
them, teaching them how to farm, teaching them this, helping
Mm-hmm.
them out. Dr. King had to say that a bunch of times because they was trying to use that whole excuse back then. Like, oh well, if they can do it, why can't y'all pull y'all? So they were saying they've been saying that, and they
Exactly. Because
even
every
use
time we built our wealth up, they tore it down. And they won't help us to do nothing. But to this day, white people, oh y'all this and then the immigrants that come over here, they get help too. They act like they didn't get
yeah.
no help. My my mama came in with 20 cents to her pocket. Stop playing. That didn't happen.
Hey, but you know
Why,
what the
why would
problem
we be
is?
jealous, ma'am, that you're getting iced? Okay, that you getting deported. Why would we be jealous of that?
Well,
Exactly.
can I say something?
Yeah, but yeah, let's let Mark go because it's almost 3. It's going
Well,
on.
Okay.
I just want to say I'm glad to see you guys are united and doing your thing. I'm a
Good. What's
Haitian
your
man.
race and ethnicity? I hear an accent.
That's what I'm about to say. I'm a Haitian man from Haiti. I came here back in '93. Um, I like the fact that you guys are bringing all the race, but you guys have to understand that Haitian never been welcome in the United States. Even though if it wasn't for Haitian, United States wouldn't be United States. It would have been North and South. That's one thing. Two things. When the Haitian come through, when the Haitians start coming through mass in Florida, Jesse Jackson had to go down there to let to talk to the black American to explain to them that Haitian is part of your people, to let them in your community. We was never welcome into the community. Okay. And then the law of the land is wet foot, dry foot, which means if you touch the land back then, that was the law. You cannot get deported. That was never happened for Haitian. Okay. But what is going on right now, it's bigger than that. Because what they doing, they bringing this race war. It's not really about that. you guys pay attention, they deporting people, sending back to their country, yet they building jail. Right now, they have a brand new jails being built in Alligator Alley in Florida. Who are they building that for? When they deporting other people,
Okay.
they realizing in the next 15, 20 years they're gonna be the minority,
Hmm.
and that's why they don't want. So they trying to deport as many as brown people as they can. And
Hmm.
at the meantime, they bringing other white color races from different country to just come multiply. So you guys doing your thing, just keep your eyes open. They're gonna send people, they're gonna bring people, but the rest who's gonna stay is gonna be the one that fill the jailhouses.
Well,
That's what
okay,
I want
but
to say.
let's
This is
address
the
a
thing.
couple of. Hold on, no, no, no. Let me address a couple of things that he said. You said if it wasn't for Haiti, America wouldn't have been America. You said that, right?
That's correct.
Okay, how is that the case if America became America in 17 um
87.
76 and Haiti became Haiti in 1804. So if
That is not
if
true.
America is older than Haiti, how did Haiti how
That
did
is
like explain do the math for me because it's not
that is
adding up.
not true. There's a
It's
lot
not
of
Listen,
thing.
okay.
There's a
y'all
lot of
were
thing that
French. Africans that
What
went to French.
yeah, okay, I'm
can I
talking to him.
answer?
Go ahead.
That's a lot of thing they didn't teach you guys in history class here.
Okay. What didn't they teach you?
Um, do you
What
know
about what
about
I
the
said is
siege?
not
Do you
true?
know about the siege of Savannah?
That's not our business. We're
What
Americans.
okay, what
That
did
what
I
is it?
say?
That I'm talking about your country.
What did I say
Savannah,
that was
Georgia is your
untrue, sir?
country.
And if I keep saying this because I'm trying to have a conversation with him,
Hmm.
what did I say that was untrue?
What did you say that was untrue?
Yeah, you said something.
You basically you trying to say what I say is not true. When I say if it wasn't for Haitian, United States would be United States, it would be North and South. That is what I say that is not true.
Okay.
Because when the British was fighting you guys trying to take over the South in Savannah, Georgia, it was the Haitian that come and fought and destroyed them for you guys. And then when it was time for us to go back home, the same military we helped sink our ship, so those people never make it back home to Haiti. That's what I'm saying. That's fact.
So you're talking about the Civil War or the Revolutionary War?
Come on, man.
No, no, I'm asking
Go
that.
look for the siege of Savannah. There's a lot of things they don't tell you guys about your history. And
No,
then
sir. Okay, no,
if you
sir.
look,
Be specific. Just tell us what it is.
I just told you it's called the siege of Savannah.
The Sage of Savannah.
The
Okay,
siege of Savannah.
See,
Yes.
and what the
he's trying to say
siege? Okay,
see.
because I can't. He got a thick accent. Oh,
Yeah,
No,
what
see.
year? What
I
year,
choose to
sir?
speak
Hold
with my
on.
accent like
Just
that
just me and him.
to
What year
introduce
did that
people know who
happen?
I am.
What? Oh, so what year did that happen?
What year did that happen? Go do your own research. I'm not here to educate nobody. I'm just here to
Okay,
spot a light. That's the
you
same
don't know
reason
what
why I'm
year?
not here
I
to
do
educate
know about the
nobody.
siege. I do
That's
know
that's
about
the
that.
reason
I do
why
know
I
about
say
that. I do
you
know
guys
about
have to
that.
be
And you
up
need to
in
shut up.
uh,
Shut up. Shut up. Shut up. I do know about that. You're talking about my history and what Haitians did, and I don't have anything but respect for them who came over here and they contributed. Gonna be very honest, they came over, he left, they came over here and got beat up. I'm not, and this is, I
And
mean this in
enslaved.
absolutely
And
no
enslaved.
disrespectful way. They came over here and lost. They didn't win. And y'all keep trying to sit up there and make it seem like we need that was first off, it was a small battalion of people who came over here. There were thousands of black American soldiers. We were the determining factor in winning all of these wars. Even Abraham Lincoln himself admitted that. The Haitian soldiers who came over here, the battalion that came over here, came over, fought a battle, lost. Now, not to take anything away from their bravery or their courage, but you're sitting up there making it seem like we wouldn't have won without the soldiers who lost that fight. How does that make sense?
And the
No,
British
let's agree
soldiers,
on that.
they enslaved them. That's why they speak French and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Like, he should know that. What is he talking
Yeah,
about?
and that's why I'm notice when I started to get
They
real
hate us.
specific, he started
They hate
trolling
us.
or whatever the case is. He started laughing and trolling. Yeah. when you troll, that pretty much shows you lost at
He
that
knew a
point.
little bit, but he
And
didn't
that's
know
crazy
we.
that he would use a failed attempt at a small siege to act like they did something for
Like
us.
they say it wouldn't be America if it wasn't for that.
Okay,
Right. And y'all
listen.
failed to capture a small area. That's
The
crazy.
racists do that. Like they do that. What's that flag? They
Confederate flag, yeah, that's
they lost that war. Like they do that stuff too.
And
Hey,
you
can I ask
but
a
we,
question?
let's keep
what we need to do? We
let's
need to
keep it
stop supporting
squeeze
anything that
first.
they.
You got it. What's your race and
We,
ethnicity? So
say it again.
your race and ethnicity.
Oh, I'm FBA.
All right.
Hey, look, we need to stop supporting anything that they got going on over here in America. They businesses, all that, because them people, listen, especially the ones who look like us. You know what I mean? We need to stop supporting anything that they got going on because they very disrespectful. And plus, what they don't understand is that ain't nobody bigger than the program. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And I think they bigger than the program.
yes,
And
because
we
they're
are the
into
program at this time.
YT.
Yeah,
They
yeah, but
believe
see,
that they got favor from YT. They do
yeah,
think
but
they
see,
bigger
but
than
see,
the
check it
program.
out though. What they don't understand, low key, the streets is talking. The streets is kind of burnt out on that, and all I'm gonna say is ain't nobody bigger than the program, and I wish they hurry and catch up and understand that, cause it ain't looking good. Like people, like they really sick of the disrespect, knowing that everything that our people went through to get them here to be allies, and they come over here on that, cause they ain't got the numbers. You know what I mean? So at the
I
end
got
of the day,
six stores that
yeah,
were, I don't know
at the end of
what
the day,
type
we
of
need to stop.
Indians they were.
Listen,
Let's let them.
hey, at the end of
Okay.
the day, we need to stop supporting anything. I don't care if you got to get your hair done, whatever it is. We don't we shouldn't support nothing from them, and they need to keep their mouth closed because like I say, it ain't looking good. It ain't sounding good. I'm gonna say that. You know what I mean? And I think they really need to understand that. That's all I'm gonna say. Ain't nobody bigger than the program, and they need to be taught that.
Well,
I
we
got six stores
basically
that
Cause
didn't
that's
get
the
shut
only.
down
That's the only. Hey,
focus.
where I
listen,
live
Basically,
listen.
at.
That's
be a focus
not
on
not to cut you off, but
us
that's the
in
only
our
way you.
own
That's the only way you
empowering the
get
lineage.
results. That's the only way you get results.
Okay.
Cause I'm driving people in my
Well,
cars to
And
well,
I'm gonna leave
go
it
yeah.
to.
at
But
that.
thank you,
Hey, go ahead. You can go ahead and drop me though.
appreciate you.
Yeah.
Thank you. And hey, that's true. They not bigger than the program. We got a mission. We got a goal. And we gonna reach that goal regardless of whoever's feelings get hurt along the way. That's okay. It's okay to hurt people feelings sometimes. I'm gonna tell you that right now. I'm sure I hurt a lot of people feelings. I saw it in the chat room, so I'm sure I did. That's okay. You think I ain't gonna sleep like a baby when this is over with because I hurt somebody's feelings? I promise you I will. I promise you I probably gonna sleep better, to be honest with you.
Little
I ain't
by
trying to
little.
be petty or negative, but I'm probably gonna sleep a little bit better. Just know I'm gonna be a little bit more comfortable. The bed gonna be a little bit softer, I think. But that's how that go.
Little
Um,
by little. It's just little by little. The trickle down effect is happening. Cause in my neighborhood, we had six. I don't. They. I don't know if they Arabs or Indians or Punjabis. All out little corner stores. I live in Norfolk, Virginia. Man, they shutting down. Ain't nobody going in the stores. We taking people to the grocery stores, and we taking people to the stores that people got cars. We not doing that.
hmm
And it's like that little bit, and it's shutting it down. It's like, no, we're not going to do that. I ain't never been disrespected by these people at the store, but my
Yep.
neighbors have,
True.
so therefore you
That's
don't
true.
want to
But
shop there.
we're gonna get to.
So hey, we rallying up. We're going to the grocery store. We're gonna go out the neighborhood to
Okay.
the big grocery
That's
store and
true.
stuff like that.
Let's
You
we're gonna
know,
get to Larry. We're gonna get to Larry. You got it.
I just have a quick question because I came about this and it's very interesting to me. So first, what is FBA stand?
FBA stands for Foundational Black Americans. That's what it means.
Okay, I'm gonna have to do some research on it, and I'm kind of curious as so I'm hearing like conflicting messages. Like, it kind of sounds like um, FBAs are in competition or not competition, but like I don't know how to say it correctly, but because I believe that my newfound belief is that need to focus on our people and make our people strong because the ultimate goal is for us to be powerful, make the rules, so
Yeah.
and to have our own systems and stuff like that. Um, but I'm lacking worldly experience to know if they are really if people are really against us, other black people are really against us, or is that just what we're fed?
Okay, hold on. Now, before we go, for context, your ethnic background, where's your people from?
Well, I struggle with that. So again, I struggle because I've been trying to figure some of this out lately. Because I've been like, I in my youth, well, I mean, in my years, we identified as African American,
Okay, well,
black.
let me specify it then. Make it more simple. Um, are both of your parents descendants of American chattel slavery?
To my belief, yes.
Okay. Well, so we'll say that because we'll go all night with that. Trust me, I've been there.
Okay.
Let's say that, and that would make you a foundational Black American. For the sake of the argument, we'll let you say that.
Okay.
Okay. For the sake of the argument, right? So your thing is that you feel like we're in competition, or you've picked up that we're in some type of competition or something.
Well, not to the sense. Well, I feel like it is always a competition because when you talk about like racism, it comes from those that have the power to keep their race in power. That's what racism is about. And I
Okay.
believe that like if black people were in power, black people would be just as racist because we're not going to want somebody to come and change our rules and tell us what to do. So like, um, I guess I'm trying to figure out the message that you guys are giving today because I just kind of came across it and it was really interesting. I'm trying to just figure out what you guys are talking about, the foundation
Can
of
I?
what you're coming to.
Okay. No. Okay. So you came up. You didn't know what FBA is. You're not
Correct.
really sure where your lineage goes to. Um, and now you want to know what we're talking about. Now,
Yeah.
let me ask you, why would you come up if the prompt is what's everyone's issue with FBA if you had no idea what FBA was?
Because I wanted to understand what it is that you're even talking about because some of the things that you guys with some of your points had been crossing my mind already with all that's going on in politics and whatnot. So I wanted to understand. I just wanted to understand. That's all.
Okay.
How old are you,
So
sir?
what? Hey.
I'm 46.
Okay. So what talking points have crossed your mind already?
Well, I heard the Haitian brother talk about how he was proud that we were sticking together, right?
Mm.
And that sounded really dope. But then I heard you guys get into the argument about who was was actually making the progress. And in my mind, I'm like, well, why would that matter if he's acknowledging our strength and our growth? But then at the same time, I also feel like
Hmm.
I could see how we wouldn't want anybody taking away from our power and inserting themselves. So again, I'm just trying to understand about what message you guys are trying to give. That's all. I'm just really
Okay.
curious.
And okay, for the sake of the argument, and I'm doing this for a reason. Everybody just watching live. We doing this for a reason. Okay. Did you not also hear the fact that the disrespect? You didn't hear that part. You just heard the part where he was talking about us all getting along.
No, I heard it all. I heard it all.
Yeah,
Like,
but you didn't mention it all. You only mentioned the
well,
part where he was talking about us getting along.
no, again, I heard it all. So I'm not on anybody's side. Like, and I know, like, we all
Sounded
like,
like, hold on, brother, but because it came off as he was just came up here and he talked about us all getting along and we just jumped him.
well,
That's the
no,
way
that
it seemed.
I'm saying I'm trying to summarize it. That was the initial conversation, bro. Like, again, I'm just trying to understand. Like,
Brother, no, come on now. Don't be disingenuous. Don't be disingenuous
I don't even
because
know what that word
you
means. What
came
does
up
that mean?
here and what you just said about him, because what he said was not true. It wasn't we all getting along. He
Mhm.
said we need to give credit to Haiti because without Haiti, America wouldn't be here. And then we got into it because that's a lie. That's a historical lie. That is not the truth at all. He wasn't talking about no unity. He was talking about us giving his people props. And you've been acting like you don't know what's going on. And let's say you don't, then you came up here and the whole time, now you're sitting up there. I know you heard the whole conversation because you were in the room. You heard the whole conversation. Now you want to make it seem as if we're just out here just like beating people up.
No, brother. Listen. I don't think you're beating anybody up.
Okay.
I don't think it was an intentional attack on your behalf nor his behalf. I think it started as a really genuine conversation. Again,
What was it?
I only came up here because I wanted some understanding of what you were talking about, and I can't read the comments fast enough, so I wanted to ask personally.
What do you think we're talking about? What do you think? You've been here for a little bit. What do you think?
Now that I understand what I have a basis for what FBA stands for, I think you're talking about what I would consider a Black American,
Okay.
someone who would be considered a descendant of slavery that has or is a native of this country.
Okay.
Period.
We already knew that.
Okay. All right. And
So again, I was just trying to understand about where you guys were going with it in the conversation. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
He
I'm
addressed
sorry.
when
If
he
I,
talked
sorry
about
if I
racism.
offended. I did not mean to offend.
nobody's offended. You requested to speak because you didn't know what was going on.
Yes, sir.
You had to scroll through the live, click on the live, click the request button, wait your turn to speak to say you had no idea what's going on and what the conversation's about.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you because I didn't know, and I didn't know how long this live would be going on, and I didn't want to. I like trying to scroll through this for me is kind of hard.
Okay.
I just thought I'd ask you directly.
So now that you know, what do you think?
I think I need to go do some research and maybe try to figure out more about what's going on so I can have a better understanding.
Okay. Now, you said something else that was very interesting. You said that you feel like all people are racist and you feel like Black people are just as racist as white people.
No, what I'm
So what do you
saying.
think?
So I'm believing that we have the potential to be, is what I'm saying. To me, racism is a system. Not everybody can be. People can be prejudiced. People can be bigots, but not everyone can be racist. Like racism comes with power and system.
Okay.
Can I ask you a
And
question?
you feel like, hold on, you feel like we can be racist too.
If we had the power and the systems,
Okay, so if that's the case, you feel like anybody could be racist.
yes, that's what I said.
Anybody, so why would you bring that up? If anybody and everybody could be racist and we don't, nor have we ever, when have we ever expressed that we would want to be racist to any other group of people?
Oh, I don't know when we've expressed that. I just feel like it's
So
always.
if you feel that way, then if we could, which we've never had the ability to be racist to anybody, you made that statement for what reason? What reason did you make that statement?
Because I make that statement based off of how I feel in America, right? How I feel. I feel like in my lived experience that I've always had to play by their rules. I feel like my people have always been marginalized because of the rules that have been set. And I feel like if me or my people had the authority to create our own systems and set our own rules, we wouldn't want somebody else to come take that from us.
Yeah, you wouldn't want nobody to change your rules. That's not racism. Racism isn't we have a set of rules in our land and we don't want nobody to change that. That's not what racism is.
Okay. I'm not here to argue, brother. I'm still learning.
And we had Black
Now,
Wall
and
Street.
I want to learn too. Where's your mother from exactly?
My mother is from Paris, Texas.
And where's her family from?
Bro, I don't know.
You don't. She's from Texas, but you don't know where your grandma's from on your mama's
My
side.
mother, so my mother was adopted, and we don't know her original lineage. We do not.
Okay. She was
He's not
adopted.
racist.
Okay, all right. but she's from, and you don't. Okay, all right. Let's say
You
that.
need
And
to
where's your
find that
father?
out.
Where's your father
That's
from?
the beginning of your journey. Go find out
Right.
your
Was she?
lineage.
Hold
Was
on, y'all. Where's your
No,
father
go
from?
find it
Where's your
out.
father from?
I'm sorry. What'd you say?
Where's your father from?
My father's from Kansas City, Missouri.
Where's his parents from? Where's his lineage from?
I didn't grow up with my father, so I did not know that. Like, and when I finally had the opportunity to talk with him, that wasn't the biggest part of the conversation.
Okay. So
Are
you
you?
don't really know where none of your people are from. That's very interesting, right?
I do not.
Okay. And let's say for the fact that you don't, I think it's very interesting, and why I'm asking you this is the fact that you don't know where your people are from, and let's say that's the case. It's just interesting because we have to couple that with the fact that you came into a live with foundational Black Americans, and we're having a conversation about foundational Black Americans. For you to ask, you don't know what foundational Black American means, okay? And all of these things are starting to add up. And the whole excuse of, well, I didn't grow up with my dad, so I don't know nothing about where he's from. My mom, I don't know nothing about where she's from. It's seeming like because you can't really, or you don't want to admit where your people might really extend to, you're saying that the ties have been cut off. And I'm saying that because what we have is a lot of time where, and I'm not saying that you are, you might not be, but what we do run into is a lot of time wasting tethers who get on the live and they ask very um, elementary questions.
Hmm.
Okay, they act obtuse, they act almost clueless, like they don't know what's going on. They sit here and they wait and they sit up there and play ignorant, play dumb, and act like they don't know what's going on whatsoever. They didn't know what FBA is, they didn't know what's going on. And what tipped me off, brother, is, and I'm saying this respectfully because I don't know where your people are from. If you don't know, I don't know. But what tipped me off is when you referred to my conversation with the Haitian man in a very disingenuous manner, as if he said something about unity and we just jumped on him because we dislike the whole concept of unity, which is not the what transpired, which is
Well,
not the situation that happened.
I
And
was
the
really
way
just
you
trying.
framed it originally before I corrected you was being disingenuous. So that leads me to believe that you've been being disingenuous about everything this whole time, about not knowing what FBA is, about not
Oh
knowing what we're
no,
talking about not knowing what he said. So let's
brother.
be honest. I mean,
I'm
when you
40. I'm
start in one
40.
lie, you kind of, the whole thing is just a lie.
Again, I'm not. I'm 46 years old, bro. Like,
Okay.
so some of these acronyms are new to me. Like TikTok is relatively new to me. Um, these things, like, I'm just now starting to explore these things. I didn't even have TikTok before the shutdown because I thought it was some weird stuff.
You
Like,
said you wasn't raised by your family, right?
no, I was raised by my mother and my stepfather.
What race is your mother?
My mother's black.
What race is your stepfather?
He's black as well.
Okay, but we're gonna move on. All right, since you just need to listen in. Okay, we dropped him down. No, and I let that play out to let you guys know he's gonna keep acting like he don't know, he don't know, he don't know. And I was waiting for him to slip up just a little bit, and that's all I needed. Him to slip up a little bit when he referred to the conversation I had with the Haitian dude as if we're out here just beating up everybody who looks like us, who's not like
For the
us. When
Karen.
he did that, he let it be known he's being disingenuous. He let it be known that he's really coming from um, um, uh, a naysayer mind frame. Okay, he's really coming against the conversation. Okay, he dislikes the conversation with that disingenuous talking point. Once you say something that's disingenuous, that leads me to believe that all of the suspect things that you said before is also disingenuous.
Absolutely. And I just want to say this one last thing, and I'm going to step down. A lot of them will co opt again those alt right, far right, Jared Taylor talking points and try to say, once we get, a level of power or anything where we can, not have our success impeded on by the dominant society. I want to make it clear when we've had those, successes like Black Wall Street, like Seneca Village, we just wanted to be left alone. And we still just want to be left alone. Let us thrive, let us do what we do best, and leave us alone. But they won't do that because they know what our capabilities are. There is no other culture in the world that can be plucked and struck and pillaged and everything else that has happened to us, and we win and we fight and we still thrive. We taught ourselves English. We've done everything possible in the midst of everything in terms of COINTELPRO and all these programs that they used against us. And there's a jealousy there about that. And we're still here. You know, we are the last vestige of our ancestors, and we're thriving, and they don't like it. So I just want to say I love your live. I love my brothers and sisters. I'm so proud of us, FBA all day. The movement is here. We're not going nowhere. And I think on the political side, we need to watch that because, again, we're going to tip the needle. We're not beholden to any party until we get our tangibles, until we get our reparations and everything else that we deserve. So I just want to say that, and I love y'all. Thank you so much. I appreciate y'all.
Appreciate you. Thank you.
Good night.
Thank
Good
you.
night,
Have a
y'all.
good one. Thank you, sister. We're gonna get to because
We gotta get more underground.
It's past 3 o'clock here, so we're not gonna be here all night. Let's get to sliding penguin.
Dagwe, Ida Bukai.
I'm sorry.
Dagwe, Ida Bukai. Hello, how are you?
I'm good. How you doing?
All right, Arawak Nation's here, brother. Caribs. The Arawaks go from Ecuador to South Carolina. We fought Columbus, defeated him, and we rescued a lot of slaves. We don't deny the slave trade. None of that, bro.
Okay.
Yeah. So, all right, my problem is, all right, so I'm from New York City, right? And my parents is from the Caribbean. But I got roots in Oklahoma, 1545. I got roots in Florida. As you know, before the Spanish American War, 2 million indigenous people had to, go back to the Caribbean. You know what I'm saying? The U.S. wanted more slaves, so a lot of people don't know that. Spain was actually the 14th and 15th colonies. They don't talk about that. My mother's from Grenada. The indigenous word is Shamahane. That's where Malcolm X's mother's born, right? My father's from Dominica. The indigenous word is Waitukubuli. That's where the Caribs was there. They destroyed Columbus men, took their weapons and all that, and rescued a lot of slaves, bro. So that's why even I be on the wild Indian saying, stop saying that, where's the boats and all that. Slavery was very real. So my only issue with FBA is there's a lot of disrespect going on right now. So we study the moon. So in October, I was calling out the moon. I was like, yo, the moon's messed up. It's going to be great division. It's going to be clashing, crash outs, all sorts of conflicts. People thought I was laughing, but now they see it. We're not supposed to have a moon the second week of the month like that. There's a lot of energy being released right now. You know what I'm saying? That's just what it is. You'll notice that on the back end. So my issue is there's a lot of disrespect against Caribbean descent icons. Like I've heard BX Gatekeeper or FBA Gatekeeper, whatever, say that Malcolm X's mother was on dope. She didn't raise her kids. A lot of people don't know the government messed with that lady. That lady put in some real work. She hid she hid away a lot of civil rights leaders and stuff like that. They literally put her in a mental asylum. You know what I'm saying? The stuff was very serious. So people don't even know that part, right? So that's what happened. That's what happened to that lady, right? And I spoke to
said that in his book,
and
though.
I ran a live earlier. I had like 100 and some people on live, and Chief Peanut came up and he said that was very, very disrespectful. He was appalled by that. So that was just the first thing, right? The second thing is this, right? A lot of people's indigenous. We have a bigger fight coming up right now. It's about the land and it's about reclassification. So I understand what y'all doing about y'all front, about whatever y'all need, but understand this. A lot of people, a lot of Indians, I see you got squinty eyes too, and I know that you probably got an indigenous ancestor. I never spoke to you about that. I could just tell just looking at your face, right? So there's a bigger fight. There was people of pale coloring that literally bought into tribes, took the lands, took the casinos, took the resources, but they just left us with the knowledge, right? So my problem is there's a lot of people that's 100% with FBA when they should still be doing some stuff with the indigenous too. You know what I'm saying?
Be doing some stuff. You mean working with them? What do you mean?
Yes, working with us. So I was at a store today and I saw like about 15 brothers out there. And I was like, yo, you know you indigenous? He was like, nah, I thought I was African American. I said, speak African. I said, who? I said, which one of your ancestors is African? Because you know they give these DNA tests, but the truth is, if you got a sixth or eighth great grandparent, that's only 1%, if that, right? So a lot of these things that they add up, you're not really 80% West African. We mixed in the peoples here. You know what I'm saying? So I actually got 15 brothers today to put American Indian on all their documents. When you do that, like for your house, for your car, they can't mess with your car. They can't mess with your
Let's
things because
okay,
they
yeah,
owe us.
but let's not
Did you
get too
Yeah,
get
off track
blood
though.
tests?
yeah,
I'm sorry.
Let's
One
not
minute,
get too
y'all.
off
One
track.
minute.
Let's
yeah,
One
not get
minute.
too off track.
One
yeah,
minute.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
I wanna hold
one
on,
minute,
everybody, hold
please.
on. We're
Yeah,
not
she's
gonna
gonna crash out on me, bro.
we're
She's gonna
not
crash
gonna
out on me, bro.
hold on,
Hold
stop,
on.
everybody,
Hold
stop,
on. You don't know
everybody.
what I'm gonna do.
Everybody, BX, you referenced BX. You said BX said something in another live that you felt was very disrespectful, and BX is here. So I'm gonna
Her
let
her
Look
you
mother
at
didn't raise her kids.
God.
hold on. I'm
Hold
gonna
on.
let you repeat what she had to say, and she can respectfully address what she had to say because that's the right thing to do. You said it. She wasn't in the room. She's in the room now, so I'm gonna let her say what she has to say.
So when you disagree with some people, right, they tend to go and host lives about you and all these other things. So the big misconception is that FBA at one point in time was not Pan African and didn't have relationships, friendships with other ethnic groups. So whenever me and Mr. Sliding Penguin disagrees, he can't get the best of me in the debate. So he go and host lives and he talk about my personal, intimate life about me and my children's father. So what I want everybody to know is that I never disparage my children's father. So I don't understand why people are weaponizing that. However, I will tell people that you can have individual relationships with others, but collectively they people will never be for you. And we can go up to the government for that. And I always talk about this. The caucuses, the things that the Caribbean does when they are, voting down our reparations bills, sabotaging our reparations bills. They've been always snaking us in New York when it comes to home ownership. And so, because I'm Black American and had a relationship with a Jamaican man, I'm supposed to forget that I'm Black American and stand on lineage business. But you see, people like Sliding Penguin get offended when I tell him he's not us just because he lived in Brooklyn, New York, right?
Now,
Just because
now
he doesn't speak with an accent. So when
BX,
I
he
say
said,
something, yes, Catherine.
yeah, he said that you had said something about Malcolm X's mother in another space.
Yeah, a few times, two times. So the first thing
Hold
she
on,
said was Malcolm X's
hold
mother did
on,
not raise her
hold on.
kids, and then Malcolm X's mother was on dope.
Okay,
He
go
No,
put
ahead.
that in his book.
no,
I read the
Yeah,
book.
hold on,
hold on. Let BX go.
hold on, hold on. So I've never said that she was on dope, right? What I
Just said
did
that.
say was that she
Stop lying.
could
You just
not,
said
hold
that.
on.
Hold on.
There's only one crash out on the stage. That's you, sir. Now I wasn't here. I come in here and I hear you were talking about me. I didn't even hear it. I just came in here for a reason, but that's God. That's God telling me to come over here because you be doing too much. So anyway, we all know that Malcolm X's mother, due to her husband unaliving and stuff, she did have some form of mental health issues, right? And we do know that Malcolm felt as if she didn't, that she treated him bad because of his skin, because of the way that she was conceived and who her father was. Malcolm never disparaged his mother. He loved his mother, but he didn't talk about her much, right? He was raised by his full FBA system. Let me say this again. He was raised by his full FBA system. So for the Caribbean to come in, sort of like it's a aha moment, when did Malcolm ever advocate for the Caribbean the way he advocated for the Black Americans, right? So
Malcolm
I'm
X's mother
tired.
always
Hold
raised him on
on.
No,
Caribbean
go
affairs.
ahead. No, 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 no. Let her go. Let her explain what you, because you brought it up.
So what I'm upset about, right, is when y'all come in here where you know he had Caribbean ancestry. You try to make everybody Caribbean, even people who don't have ties to the Caribbean. So what we're saying to you is we understand people have another ethnic group, they're by ethnic. However, those people advocated for us. We're not going to claim who don't claim us. Foundational Black Americans don't get down like that. And so because he can't handle me in a debate, he don't have nothing except he may be related to Malcolm's mother. He's not related to the Littles, as he said first. I'm related to the Littles. I said, how? He said by Malcolm's mother. So you're not related to the Littles because the Littles are foundational Black
No,
America.
I told you I slipped up on
I'm
the
not
words. I had a
finished.
Hold
brain
on.
injury.
That's
Let me
fine.
address
Yeah.
something. Let me address
Hmm.
something before we move on, or whatever the case is. I don't know how many people have read Malcolm X's autobiography, but
I have.
Malcolm said that he lost his father when he was very young, and his mother was
Mhm.
taken from him when he was also very young. Okay, she did suffer, and this is in no way disrespect to his mother, but she did suffer mental health issues after her husband was taken away. All right. And I'm trying to be TikTok friendly or whatever. Malcolm X in his autobiography admitted to this. This is not disparaging his mother, but this is what happened. If anything, this goes to show the conditions that they were living in at that point. All right.
He was Malcolm Little, yeah.
The reason why we bring up that up is because people often now we're having a thing where you have the Caribbean are trying to claim Malcolm X as if Malcolm X was a Caribbean, and they're invoking his Caribbean mother. And what we're saying is that in no way is this disrespectful to the mother, but he didn't grow up under his mother. He wasn't raised by his mother. He even admitted that himself. It's not her fault, but he admitted himself he didn't feel like he was raised by either one of his parents. All right. So that's the reality. So for the Caribbean to try to, or Ghana to try to claim Malcolm just because he was half Caribbean, that's really disingenuous, because the culture and the energy that he had, his upbringing that he had, was not of Ghana. The culture he had was not of Ghana. His ties to Ghana, which was his mother, was taken away from him when he was young. He admitted that. All right.
Hey,
So
brothers, Grenada.
we gotta tell
Not Ghana,
the
Grenada.
history, sir. We have to
Grenada,
tell the
Grenada, not
history
Ghana, Grenada.
in its full context. Grenada, I say Ghana, Grenada. That's what I meant.
Yeah,
Grenada.
Grenada. Yeah, 80 miles from South America. And he also had family in Trinidad, and he had family in South America.
What does that
Okay,
have?
Yeah.
and let's say he did. Let's say he
Yeah.
did.
His mom did raise him, though. His mom did raise him to a
Okay,
point the government took away because of civil rights work.
His
Yeah.
mom didn't.
They made her crazy.
According to him, according to what he said, that's not what happened. So
Yeah, but I'm
you
telling you,
were
though,
there,
I understand.
sir, no, we're
Yeah.
not gonna do that. Because unless you were there and you're gonna say what he said happened is not what happened, we have to go with what he said happened. And according to what he said happened, that's not the reality of the situation. And if he had ties to Trinidad, and if he also had ties to South Africa or wherever else, or whatever the case is, the cultural upbringing he was raised under, and why he went from Malcolm Little to Malcolm X, was because of foundational Black American culture and foundational Black Americans. All right.
Yeah, but his mother was taken away because of a civil rights work.
And I'm
That's
not,
why.
and I'm
That's
not,
the secret.
sir, and
I'm
this
telling
isn't
you.
to disrespect his
But I'm
mother.
telling you, though.
Oh, bro.
So
I'm not, you're not
what
telling
would
me
that
anything you don't
change?
know.
I'm
And they
sorry,
But the
guys.
thing
deceased,
is,
bro.
Okay,
Like,
then
let's
Grenada,
stick
bro.
to the
I'm telling you,
children.
though.
You talking
But
about
That
who
she
ain't.
had.
hold
disrespecting, she
on,
One
disrespecting his
minute,
mama,
y'all.
though.
One minute.
guys. We
One
just
minute,
cut off
y'all.
Her
because
baby daddy's Jamaican. She got 3 kids with him, but she hate Jamaica. She's
okay,
cosplaying.
nobody, stop.
You
Listen,
sound like an
hold
idiot.
on,
I'll
no,
be back
now
up
you're
here.
bringing
American
up
Indians, we
somebody's
out.
children.
American
Stop,
Indians, we out. They cosplaying. We
stop.
out.
You're
Okay,
not American Indian. You're probably Arawak or Carib.
yes, did you
He's
drop him?
really confused. No, he dropped himself. He thinks he
Okay,
has
yeah,
this
I figured he
team.
did. Now
What he's
hold on.
gonna do, Afro, is go make a live about me.
And that's
That's
okay.
all.
But let me say
Yeah.
let me say something, because we let him go, and then we just corrected him about the history, and then notice that because we corrected him about the history, now he's attacking BX in her personal
That's crazy
situation
to me.
in her personal life. Yeah. Oh no, you're not gonna be able to bring a Malcolm X. I know the history. We know the history here. You're not gonna be able to disingenuously tell his story. We know the history too well for you to be able to do that.
And why they always bringing up dead people from the past? Bring up somebody relevant who's doing something, who's making strides.
They
Bring up
don't.
somebody today. We are alive today. Talk about today. They always bringing up history. Like
That's
that's in the
all we
past,
do.
bro. We have moved on from that.
We need to
They
set
So let me say this.
an
Go ahead.
underground situation where we not online with all these like
Okay, but
and
let
stuff
you
like
guys
that.
go, and then we're gonna
Uh,
continue with the.
how long have you been live, Afro? I'm sorry to be
I started. Well, it was like 12, maybe around 12. So we've been on here for like maybe um 3.5, like 3-4 hours, maybe.
You
Hey,
know, I was just
y'all
one
just
minute,
clicked
y'all.
in.
1 minute, Detroit. 1 minute, Detroit. So here's the thing. So we have the group that I call them American Indians. You know, Pan. Whenever you add the Pan, they want to confuse things. So he's obviously from Grenada, but because he lives in Brooklyn, sometimes he feels like he's Black American or something. It's
Mhm.
really weird. So when they say that I'm a cosplayer, I'm a former Pan African. I don't regret my children, my children's father. My children are actually grown. I'm asking them for grandchildren, but in reality, no, they ain't ready yet. So it's not like this is some new thing. However, foundational Black American and having to stand on lineage business is new to me, right? My lineage has never changed. It's just my ideology and the fact that I have to now come at the Caribbean. If you are a foundational Black American and you are in a relationship with someone from the Black race but other ethnic group, there's gonna come a time you may have to stand on lineage business. Even if that doesn't align with what's going on in your home, you're still foundational Black American. Your parents are still foundational Black American. Your ancestors are still foundational Black American. And you're not over there on these other people's land, displacing them, sabotaging them. And so, why should I allow the Caribbean to do that to us simply because I had children with a Jamaican man? That doesn't make sense. When my children live here, they are foundational Black Americans. They're just by ethnic. They're raised by their mom. And they can even tell you that there's a difference between a Black American, an African, a Haitian, and that all these other people are getting treated better than the Black American. If you can't stand on lineage business, then I question you. I don't question myself. He has an agenda. He wants us to be one big conglomerate and go at some government. But when we were panned before, nothing like that has ever happened. They always drop the ball from the Caribbean to the African continent. They always drop the ball when it's time to help Black Americans. And I won't be ashamed by who I dated. I won't be ashamed by who I lived with. I won't be ashamed by who I had children with. Because that is who made me me, and that's who's sitting here with y'all today.
Okay. Yeah. Hey, and notice how personal they get, and they get that way because they're losing the argument. They're
okay.
losing the argument. But
Yo,
we're
you
gonna
mind if I
continue
go?
because we're not gonna be in here too much longer. We're gonna continue. I'm gonna get to some of the other hands. Mackenzie, how you doing, Mackenzie?
Hey, long time no speak.
Yo,
um,
Hold on.
no, just I'll be really brief. Just to answer the prompt, what's everyone's issue with FBA? I think as a group, we as far as we kind of like push the status quo, right? Like historically we've always have challenged the opposition when it comes to what we're owed, and any type of disrespect, and that is a inconvenience for everybody. And I think that people are also upset that we are not going to just like lay down and stay down. It's a lot more convenient for us to, for other groups to kind of just take from our culture and not, have us speak up and have them acknowledge it. It's convenient for those in white power structures to not have to hear from us when we're fighting against what's owed to us, via reparations. So for a lot of people, we are a big inconvenience to their convenience, and also too, like considering we were brought here for one particular task, and we've kind of, we've kind of built our own, um, you know, we've built our own community and culture. Yeah, I think there's a lot of resentment. And then even most recently with what's happening with those that are being kind of like sent back, that's another, you're going to probably deal with a lot of more people who are being passive aggressive towards you, because for years they've told us that, we have no culture, that we are not American, but we're being reminded in real time that we are American. As other people are being deported, we just had Juneteenth celebrations all throughout New York City, reminding us that we are footed here in this American soil. And they made it a federal, holiday. We had a day off from work, where our lineage is being acknowledged. So it's building up a lot of resentment. And I think in real time, we're seeing people kind of be angry about that, especially those that are not from here. And then the last thing I'll say is that a lot of people um, are also trying to, if I don't know if people are saying it, but like use fear tactics, towards Black Americans. Oh, they're coming towards you next. So they're trying to leverage fear and anger to get us to mobilize. But I think this time around, we're not falling for the okie doke. And so, yeah, I think a lot of it is just resentment, anger, and jealousy. So that's pretty much it. Thanks.
Yeah, and I was saying this before early in the live. In the last couple years, really the last couple years, really about the last year or so, we've seen a lot of different struggles, fights, protests, and stuff like that. Whether that's in America domestically, whether people are protesting about something going on overseas, around the world, wherever the case is, um, you're seeing a lot of people trying to advocate for their groups of people or whatever issue or whatever cause. And we, as Foundation Black Americans, have been essentially minding our business and being very indifferent to a lot of these other groups of people's issues. Haven't been for it or against it, but just us being indifferent about it, and causes them to get upset because we were their winning card. We were the ace in the sleeve. Okay, we were the ones that they needed to take them over the finish line. And with us not being there for them and fighting for their cause and being on the front lines, all of these other protests and all of these other causes, they're starting to notice they can't get over the finish line if we're not there taking them over the finish line, carrying them over the finish line. And that's why when it comes to the immigration and the deportation, like you just mentioned, the fact that we're indifferent to it, being all like, hey man, we not gonna get deported. They keep trying to get us involved with the fear mongering and things like that because they need us to carry them over the finish line. And we've just been saying, hey, no, I mean that's y'all thing, and you're not gonna manipulate, because that's what that is. You're not gonna manipulate us into joining this cause or this fight to carry you all over the finish line. That's just not gonna happen.
Can
Yep.
I say something? Can I say some stuff?
Hey, okay, yeah, go ahead, KG. You are.
I
Yeah,
was
I
here
just
first,
wanted to
bro.
say, I
I was
just
here
wanted
for
to
like
say,
30 minutes.
I just wanted to say I appreciate all you guys and I
Uh,
understand what you guys doing.
uh,
Um, I'm from Colorado, from here. I'm like, my grandparents came here, like, I'm like five, six generation from here, but I understand. And I think a lot of people that coming to America, I think if they don't understand like the American how we are raised here in America.
mm,
And not only that, I don't think they know the history because like this land here is like the oldest land there is in the world. And a lot of people don't grasp that, can't understand that.
That's not true. It's Africa.
okay, thank you.
Wh-
Hold on, but yeah, thank you. I do want to be fair though. Lenny was here. Um,
Oh,
what's on your mind, Lenny?
nothing much. Do we state the age, race, name, and pronouns, or no? We just keep going.
Just race and ethnicity.
Race and ethnicity. I'm black. 20. I'm from Northern California. And yeah,
Your ethnicity.
black, African American.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
What's
My
FBA
issue
for?
with okay, so I wanted to start off asking you guys a question. So I could state my issue with FBA, right? As a black person, I identify as African American, but we can go there.
You
We can go there
identify
later.
as African American. Where
We
are your
can,
parents? Where are your parents from?
my parents is from.
Where's your parents' lineages from?
Okay, I'm gonna tell you. My mom is from Oakland, California. My grandma is from Louisiana. My dad is from Richmond, California, and his parents is from Mississippi. So yeah, I'm African American.
So both of your parents are from
Both of
descent.
my parents are thoroughbred niggas. FBA.
Okay, all
And
right.
then your grandparents are too.
Come again? My grandparents are too. That's as far as I can go. Y'all act like
No,
you
no,
got
no. And the reason why we're saying that is because we'll have people who will disingenuously call themselves African American by saying, "Hey, technically,
no.
I
I
was
call
born in
myself
America,
African
so I'm
American because I
African
believe
American."
that's the
So that's
proper
what I
term.
was asking. But okay, go ahead.
I call myself African American because I believe that's the proper term. I don't believe we're FBAs. I don't think there's any. I don't think there's such thing as an FBA. If you want to name us as if you want to name Black people in America as their own separate categorized group, right? FBA as an ethnicity, I'm down with that. But most FBAs like Tariq Nasheed think that that we're Indians and shit, that we're Native American and indigenous to this land.
No,
None of
sir.
that. That's bullshit, bro. Like
There you
that's
go.
that's bullshit. That's trying to you're feeding into the white power structure. You're trying to delineate from your African lineage. Most FBAs, and I'm not saying y'all. I'm not saying you guys on the panel are ashamed of their African heritage, bro. That's that colorism bullshit. Like, I know I'm young. I know I'm 20, bro, but I don't play that shit. I feel like that shit is cowardly, and I feel like that shit, like you're trying to like damn near delineate from your African
Language,
Never
roots.
been
please.
ashamed
No
of our
cussing.
African
No
heritage.
cussing.
That's a
Okay, hold
white
on.
tea talking point,
Go
bruh.
ahead.
That's
Go
not a
ahead.
white tee talking point.
Yeah,
Okay,
that
one
Go ahead.
moment.
That's
is.
that's
One
That's
literally an
true.
alt
moment.
With
leftist.
your
One
20-year-old
moment.
ass.
One
We ain't
moment.
never been
One
Okay,
ashamed
bro.
of our
moment. One
African
Y'all
moment,
heritage.
Mrs.
stop
G.
doing that.
Here we go.
One moment. One
Here we
moment.
go.
So, Lenny, I would like to ask you, let me set the decorum for the room, please.
Yeah,
Everybody,
most.
please use TikTok friendly language. Everybody,
All
please
right, my
try to
bad.
stay on
Sorry,
their mic. It's pretty hard for me to listen to Lenny and the stuff that he's spilling out his
bro.
mouth.
Let me finish
Um,
speaking. Damn, is that
okay.
hard?
See, it's the
You like
cussing.
40
It's the
something, bro.
cussing.
You
Don't
can't
cuss.
let me finish speaking.
Well,
Is that
yeah,
hard for you?
so what's hard for me is to sit here and listen to Lenny play in our face. That's what it is. So foundational Black Americans, you will find two groups of us. The original foundational Black Americans, if you had was around when Tyreek was first explaining how he, revamped our ethnonym, our moniker, is those who are of admitted African descent, indigenous descent, and European descent. I don't understand what's so hard about it for other people. We don't deny Africa, we just not African. And there's nothing you can say to make us believe that we are. We don't share the customs. We don't eat the food, maybe in today's time. But
Okay,
when I
we're
was
gonna.
growing up, you know
We,
what I'm saying?
yeah.
Afro.
The
So,
thing
I mean, it's
is that
crazy.
he says that. Here's the thing.
He said that he didn't know
Here's the thing.
no African in his blood
Okay,
lineage. Like, why?
let's say for the sake of the argument, he is full FBA or whatever the case is.
Mhm.
There's been a talk, and there are people who do believe that there were black people here before Columbus and before slavery. Okay, that's been a thing for generations. Now, whether you believe it or don't believe it, that's one thing. That is something that there are a lot of us who believe.
Mhm.
There are a lot of foundational Black Americans, and I was saying this: we're not all a monolith. Some believe it to a degree, some believe it to a different degree. Okay, that's what happens when you have a whole lineage of people. You have differences of opinion. You have some people who do one research or believe in one theory, or another research and another theory. The way, and I say that to say FBA is not a group, is not an organization. You don't have to agree with Tariq's ideology as far as us being indigenous, even though he doesn't deny the slave trade, but that doesn't distract from FBA because it's a lineage. One person having an opinion who is FBA doesn't mean you dismiss FBA as a lineage. Okay? And to be honest, he's shown, and I've seen what he's shown. He's shown many different receipts that substantiate his belief. I'm going to be very honest. There are many receipts, many people who've done books and research and historical facts that have substantiated the claim that there were black people here first. That is the truth. And if you don't know that, then you're behind because that's been discovered like decades ago. Okay. Now, if you have an issue with that, there might be another reason you have an issue with that, but that shouldn't be an issue because that's a fact that's been that's already been discussed many years ago.
You know what, Afro, what is
That
coming
young
to light
man.
now? 1 minute, Holly. 1 minute.
Yeah,
What's coming to light now? There's a group named Foundational African Americans. Please don't ask me why. But these people they kind of co-opt our movement by using the name, and I can't take them seriously because coming from New York, everything. And if you're really as a hip hop fan, you know everything for Black Americans, especially, we're about originality. So there's Foundational African Americans, and they sort of sound like that man there. They really have a thing for foundational Black Americans. And there's foundational Puerto Ricans and stuff too. But I don't know how you can be foundational African without going to Africa and being foundational over there. It's weird.
these people are so
Yeah,
unoriginal, so unoriginal.
yeah.
Let's get to Detroit.
What up, though, homie? I appreciate you for letting me speak on your platform. I like the way how y'all do it. I am a FBA. All my people from here, period. I have a full white man's Irish name, and it is what it is. To answer your question, first I want to say this. I don't believe in the indigenous. I don't believe in that. Everything that we know about history came from a book. If you did not experience it yourself, you learned it.
Oh, he's
So
right
we
here.
don't
He's
know
right here. He's
anything
right
for a
here.
fact. Excuse me.
Who's speaking? No,
Trevor.
Detroit. Go ahead,
Yeah,
Trevor. Don't
yeah.
do that. Come on now.
Okay, so everything that we learned about history that you did not experience personally, or someone in your family did not experience prior to you and gave you firsthand knowledge of it, you learned it from a book. So we don't know anything about indigenous for a fact, but people believe in what they believe. They have faith in that, but I don't believe in that. What I do know is that those ships really sailed those seas, those slave castles in Ghana really exist. But to answer your question about what's everybody issue with FBAs, the issue is they all want in because we are like the spokesman for black people, period. Like the way how we shine, the way how we dominate sports and Olympics and just create historical times. We are just that. And right here, just in America, we have 1.5 black millionaires. And throughout the
He's
rest of the world,
right here on me. He was on the roof.
my brother,
If he's, I'm gonna let him finish playing his Call of Duty. Go ahead. Go ahead.
oh yeah. So right here in America, we have 1.5 black millionaires. And if you go throughout the rest of the world, you can only find 100,000 to 150,000 black millionaires. So right here in the United States of America, we have 10 times the amount of black millionaires here alone, 10 times more than the whole rest of the world. So we are the light, and everybody wants to have a part of that. Everybody wants in, just like that brother trying to say Malcolm X is from Jamaica. We all know the story of Malcolm X. We all read his autobiography. We all know that he lived in Harlem, and when he went there, they was calling him Detroit Red. They didn't call him Jamaica Red. You know what I'm saying? So everybody wants part in it. So when I got on TikTok and I was being born in Detroit and raised in Detroit, I was taught to love Africa growing up. And I always have loved Africa because I felt like that's where the ancestors was from. But when I got on TikTok and I just keep hearing every day the same African panels just going in on Black Americans, just going in on us, you know what I'm saying? I was just like, it kind of like turned my heart cold. You know what I'm saying? So I started doing some research and stuff. And I ended up calling in and talking to on one of the panels one day. And I told the brother, because they said, why are Black Americans, why are FBAs ashamed of their African roots? So I told him, listen, we are not ashamed of our African roots. If you look up the definition of foundational Black American, it will tell you it is the descendant of enslaved Africans in the United States of America. There's no such as an FBA that is not of African descent. So how could we be ashamed of our African roots? It's not that. It's just that if you, an African, come over here today and have a child with your wife, that child is an African American, but he will not do our culture. He is not the same as me, the descendant of a slave who came here hundreds of years ago. He won't practice our culture. He will practice your African culture. So we both can't be African Americans. We have to have a name to distinguish ourselves. And that's the problem. They want in, just like that brother right there tried to claim Malcolm X was Jamaican or whatever. They want in. So by us not calling ourselves African American, they feel like we just cut them out the picture with just by calling ourselves FBAs. You know what I'm saying? They feel like we just cut them. I let this brother know the definition of FBA, but yet and still, only thing he could do is talk bad about FBAs. And it's like they want it in on what we have. They want to be a part of what we got, even though we have our own culture, we have our own history. So they don't like the fact that we have our own identity with FBA. They wanted us to keep that title of African American. And that's all I gotta say. That's the jealousy. Everybody I heard a Chinese person say, well, the Chinese people built the railroads, everybody built America. As if African slaves weren't there digging the ditches and carrying the railroads. There's nothing that happened in America that the slaves did not have a part of. The Chinese people got paid. You think the slaves that had to work for free wasn't there?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Let me address a comment that gets brought up about us being of African descent. I'm not here to, because I've done, and this is before I ever started YouTube. This is before that. I've done different research. I got a whole bunch of books in my room. I've talked to many different professors. I've met with them and all that stuff. So I've done a lot of different history. I've been to different museums about the slave trade, okay, and about indigenous history. I've done a lot of studying about indigenous history as well too. So to say that we're African descendant, we're descended from the continent of Africa, okay, well, I'm not going to deny that as being a fact, but with that argument, though, even though we're like 500 years removed, if we're still a descendant of Africans, then everybody in the Caribbean is a descendant of Africa. And also, pretty much all of South Africa is a descendant of Africa. There are a lot of Asians who are descendant of Africa. I mean, where would we go back? Because if we keep going back that far, damn near everybody in the world is a descendant of Africa to a degree. Everybody in the world, you go anywhere in the world and you take their DNA, you'll find some trace down the line that everybody in the world is a descendant of Africa. And if everybody is African, then nobody is African. You know what I'm saying? So this is the argument that people are making to say, okay, well, everybody can't be one thing. We have to be different people. We have to be different groups of people. So what we're saying when the whole denying our African heritage is because it's not denying it, is because they want to say you're African as a way to strip us away from our American heritage. Okay. The whole you're African, that is an argument to say don't claim or don't try to associate yourself and identify yourself with your American roots you should just completely disregard that and
Yeah.
acknowledge only your roots from Africa, even though those were centuries and centuries and centuries ago. Those are
Right.
the only roots that you should be able to claim whatsoever. And
Can I
only
chime
Black
in?
Americans get told that argument. Haitians, Jamaicans, nobody from the Caribbean gets to the
Exactly.
argument that they need to strip the roots of their country and only acknowledge roots in Africa from a country we were taken away from that doesn't exist to this day. You understand what I'm saying? So it's
I
less about
totally
us not
understand.
acknowledging our African roots, but more acknowledging our American roots. Do
And it
you
gives
know
them a
what I'm
false
saying?
sense of superiority. They feel like we come from them.
No, they make it
Can I
seem
chime in?
It's
stupid.
a way. No, it is. But here's a bigger thing. It's a way because when if we strip our if we strip our claim psychologically, if we strip our claim culturally and psychologically from this land, and we have the psychological disposition that we're stateless people, that we're people without a nation, then that causes us to be pretty much free agents for everybody else to exploit, which is what they've been doing. They've been saying, okay, well, technically, you guys don't belong here. So, as far as your claim to this land, as far as your claim to reparations, as far as your claim to any of that stuff, you shouldn't even be fighting for that because you don't really belong here, you know? And that's essentially caused a disposition in FBA to be free agents for everybody else's cause. And because now we're recognizing our place in this land and our claim to this land, the land our people built, now we're having a different disposition when it comes to other groups of people and our relationship thereof to other groups of people. You know what I'm saying? So that's why the whole, oh, you guys are disassociating with Africa, you're disassociating with Africa. It doesn't have to be a disassociation with Africa. It's just an association with our direct roots on the land that we built, on the land that we live in. The same way y'all don't have an issue with nobody else in the world doing that, this is the same way y'all shouldn't have an issue with us doing it. But you have an issue
Exactly.
with us doing it, not because you believe that we're doing something wrong, is because you guys have recognized that your little plug that you guys have been using, the little psychological game that you guys have been playing on us, is over with.
Yep. Oh, I'm Haitian. They just did that overseas in England. Oh, I'm Haitian. I'm English. I'm Jamaican. I'm Guyanese. I'm this. I'm that. Where your culture? Where you from? I'm from America. No, no,
Yo,
no.
can
Where
I
are you from? Where are you from? I'm
But
from
let's move.
America.
Let's move because it's almost 4 o'clock, y'all. I got.
chime in right quick?
Um, who's speaking?
20 Mike.
20 Mike. Okay.
Okay, as far as the prompt, I'm
But you're
45 years
FBA,
old.
right?
I'm
I'm assuming.
45 years old. I don't. And yeah, when I say what I'm gonna say, I kind of don't really care who say what they say,
But
cause
real
I.
quick, brother. Real quick.
But okay.
Your race and ethnicity.
Oh yeah, that's what I was about to get to. I kind of don't really care what nobody say, cause I'm with Detroit. You know, my mom's raised us to be of African descent, right? And
Okay.
so I really can't see how y'all looking at it any other way, because we are of African descent. But
Okay. What is your
here's
ethnicity, sir? African descent is not an ethnicity, brother. What's your
what
ethnicity?
I identify as an African.
You where? Okay. So your mother and father a descendant of American chattel slavery?
It's twisted on both sides of my family. One side of my family is from Africa, and then I got
Oh, okay.
it.
Well, that
I
makes sense then. Okay.
Yeah.
What
Then I
He's
got
part
part
native.
ethnic,
of Africa are
Tanya.
they from?
We don't really know right about now, but you know how it go. But
No,
let me
I'm
finish
not
when
sure
I'm.
how it goes. What do you mean?
Oh
One
man,
minute,
here we
one
go.
minute, one minute, one minute.
No,
No,
because
no, one
you
minute. I
said one
got it.
side of your family is from Africa, and I'm asking where when you and
Right.
you're saying you don't know. So what do you mean?
Did
Is
you
your
take a
mom from Africa?
DNA test? One moment. Did you take a DNA test? And that's why you think you're African.
Nah,
More recent, not just descended from U.S.
nah,
African.
ain't no DNA test in ours, man. We just kept that information in our family through the years. And
Right, except for the
I
country.
was gonna say, let me finish. A lot of my relatives that had that knowledge passed away, and we unfortunately we wasn't sharp enough to retain that knowledge, and we was all beefing, so a lot of it just dispersed and we didn't really catch all of that. Now there's certain people from my family like me, my older sister, and other cousins, that I got from both sides. They did the lineage themselves. I don't know how they did it and what they did, but let me finish what I'm gonna say about
Okay.
this prompt.
Hold on.
Okay, just let me.
Before we go, because we're all adults here. We're all adults, and we're gonna keep the rules, right? And everybody, and this is why I don't. And I'm not saying you're doing it, even though I kind of think you are. But everybody, if your family are immigrants, and we're not gonna play that game. If your family immigrated here, if your grandparent, because most of these immigrants are only second generation, really first and second generation. If your grandparents came here from another country, if your mother came here
My
everybody
people
knows.
came here to this country in 1880 something,
Okay, so that's
and
why when I asked you, brother, hold on, sir, when I
we
asked
didn't
you,
come
sir,
on the
sir,
boat.
hold on,
We
sir,
came on the boat, but we
sir,
didn't
you're
come.
not gonna talk over me, because when I asked you, are
You
your
talking over
parents
me, brother?
descendant of American chattel slavery, you were acting like you didn't know.
Cause I don't.
You said it was a mixed thing and it was kind of mixture, but you said part of your family is from Africa. And then that's when I asked you where, and you're saying you don't know.
Nah,
You're
if you,
all over the
but
place.
you won't let me finish, man. You just keep cutting me off, man. That's
Okay,
disrespectful.
where are
And
your
what? But
parents? Where's your mother
let me get this off
lineage
right
from?
quick. Let me get this off right quick.
No,
Okay.
sir, no, you're not gonna skip past that. Where your family lineage from?
All right, bro. I'm out, man. I'm holler at y'all, man. Y'all have a good one.
Damn, bro, you stayed on that long just to do that?
He stayed on that long.
Yeah.
No, why are they so ashamed? I was gonna let him go. We were gonna let him go. But notice, if you come up here and you start lying and being disingenuous, and
We
y'all
know.
look, we know y'all know where your parents are from. We're not gonna play this game where I don't know because my grandma got into it with my auntie and then she didn't tell her, and we skipped past the family reunion, and
I
my
can go
auntie ain't picking up.
downstairs
We
right now.
Everybody knows this. He's
My
grown
great
as hell.
grandmother
He
is
knows where he's
94
from.
years old. My great grandma is 94 years old downstairs. I'm her caretaker. Her parents were slaves, and she had to sharecrop, like literally. Like, what is he? These people take this shit for a joke. You really have people still on this earth that really went through that,
Hmm.
and
And
these
everybody, yeah.
people just joke about it.
Everybody knows. And the thing is that if you disagree, you can come up to me and disagree. I'm not no king of FBA. I ain't no send up this the damn leader or nothing like that. You can disagree with me. Okay, cool.
I
That's
just be
fine.
honest
But the thing
about the
is that
disagreement.
when you come up here, if you being very wishy-washy and ambiguous and vague about your lineage, that lets me know that you feel like you don't want to expose where your lineage is from. And by you doing that lets me know your lineage is not from here. Okay?
I'm about to go downstairs check on my
And
baby right now.
he's way too grown. He waited very long in the conversation to come up here, and so he was waiting this long, and he wanted to skip past my background check. He wanted to skip past that. Like, okay, let me just say this. I'm like, no, no, we're not gonna do
Yeah,
that.
he
You're not
he
gonna skip
did.
past
Yeah.
that.
I'm like, where you? I be thinking when people be talking, I'm like, okay, come on,
1 minute.
man.
We need everybody to mute up except for the person that's speaking. The chat is saying that there's a feedback.
Yeah, it is okay. Yeah, we know. Come on, out the gate he was being disingenuous, and we caught that before you even made too much. Let's get to Kmo.
How's everyone doing tonight? Thank you, or this morning, I guess. Thank you for bringing me up on the panel. I'm 45 years old and I'm from California.
Okay, your race and ethnicity.
I'm I'm Black American.
Okay. All right. How you doing? What's on your mind? Wait, what happened? No, okay. She might have got a call or something. I don't know. But we're gonna keep it moving. We're gonna keep it moving. We're gonna wrap things up relative. Oh, okay. You're back.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't know what happened either. I was saying, I appreciate the panel. I believe it's been very informative just on explaining the stance of the foundational Black Americans. And I was kind of thinking that fell up under that because I believe that, my parents and my grandparents, and as far back as I can trace, we are all Americans. I have not traced anybody to Africa. However, I do see that in the foundational Black America, it is attached to Africa. It has a little bit of attachment in the definition, and a lot of people, I think that's where the confusion is coming in at, because in the definition, when you read it, it does attach to Africans, and it even goes into further details saying that immigrants can be a part of it long as they have one parent that's born in America. So that's why I chose to maybe just kind of fall back from that and maybe go with ADOS, which is American Descendants of Slavery, because that's just like, seems like that's Americans who were enslaved in America.
Okay.
What do you think about that?
All right. And you said in the definition it ties to Africa. What do you mean?
Yeah, that's why I had kind of fell out, because I went to go to try to read it, and I guess it disconnected me from the app. But it does, just like one of the gentlemen has said, that I guess he said that something like it says something along the lines that the foundational Black Americans are connected to Africans who were enslaved in the U.S. So
Okay.
they're Africans who are enslaved in the U.S., whereas ADOS is Americans descendants of slavery. So it has no attachment to anything else, just America. So I'm going to personally maybe attach to that ADOS, that because I don't have no connection to nothing else but America.
Okay. Americans there were only one group of people who were enslaved, right?
Well, I believe my ancestors were prisoners of war. That's
Okay.
what I believe.
Well, I mean, that could be semantics. I mean, I've never seen a child and babies. They were slaves. These were babies picking cotton. These were not prisoners. These were slaves.
And it
Prisoners
was
do
no
have
war.
rights. These are people. It's not like these are people who did not. They were enslavement wasn't because of a crime they committed or a battle they lost. These were because of the
They were
race.
tricked, in my opinion, from my knowledge to my what I have researched. They were tricked into it because of the Democratic Party, which initiated. It was President Andrew Jackson who initiated the Indian Removal Act. The Indian Removal Act, because the
Slavery
people.
started before.
Stop. You
1
don't
minute,
have to let
Haji.
people
1
go.
minute.
You be
The Indian Removal Act,
It's
which
your great
erased
time.
the original inhabitants of the land heritage, it divided them from their inheritance. That's how we lost our inheritance, because we were forced to, we couldn't claim Indian, or not me personally, but my ancestors, they could not claim their Indian heritage. That led to the Trail of Tears, which displaced the people of America. So a lot of people that were
okay.
down south came over to California. That's how we ended up in
Tina,
California.
Can I
can
ask
I
you?
say this
Can
to
I
you,
ask you,
Afro?
though? Why are you starting there? Why are you starting there, as opposed to like actually when
Oh,
slavery?
1776, back
Yeah.
when the slaves was freed. Why didn't I start there?
No. Why didn't you? I mean, slavery. Do you believe that slavery built America?
Well,
Slavery.
I
The
said
slave
that I don't believe that I was a slave at all, or my parents. I said we were prisoners of war. That's why I started. That's why I started back there. at the Indian Removal Act. We were prisoners
Okay,
of
because
war.
you're
We were
starting
already
with
here
the
in
Indian
America
remove.
before Christopher
Okay, let me ask you a
Columbus.
question. Do you believe that slavery built America?
Yes, I do.
Okay, so you might be something. I think we might be talking about two different groups of people then.
It is two different groups in the people
Okay, so
of
are
people.
you?
Even the
So
Bible
what?
verifies that.
Hold on. What we're talking about with FBA is because you acknowledge that slavery built America. We are the descendants of the slaves that built America. There was only one racial group of people that built America. We are their descendants. The foundation that was the foundation
Okay,
of
so you
what
guys
built
were brought
America.
over here. I'm talking. We were already here,
Okay,
right?
Hold
so
on,
you
hold
okay?
on, hold on, ma'am.
Hold on. So
Hold
you're
on.
saying that there were people who were brought over here. Do you understand that there were people who were already here who were enslaved?
Right. That's my part of that's my lineage. The people that were
Okay.
already here who
So
weren't
And do
so
enslaved. You
you
just said they
so
weren't
wait,
there.
wait,
enslaved,
Hold on.
right?
ma'am,
Hold on.
wait,
Hold on.
ma'am.
Hold on.
Afro. And
Go
do
ahead.
you
I'll wait.
know that those who were here, indigenous to here, mixed whether through force or consensual with those who were brought from the continent? You know that, right? I can't hear you if you're talking. I see your box kind of lighting up, but I don't hear you. Yeah, I can't hear you.
Now, what's
I
interesting?
think
Hold on. What's interesting about this is that you're saying that you identify more with ADOS, American Descendants of Slaves, and then you said that your people were not slaves. You're not a descendant of slaves, even though ADOS says American Descendant of Slaves. But the way you claim it, they weren't descendant. You're not a descendant of slaves. And there was only one group of people, as you're trying to make it seem like ADOS and FBA are two completely different sets of people in this nation. There was only one group of people who were slaves, period, in the United States of America. So either you are a descendant of slaves or you are not. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not here to argue, your identity or if tribal, because that's a whole nother live, but you know what I'm saying. It's now we're starting to kind of get all over the place where it's almost coming as if you're just being a contrarian to FBA, and I'm not saying that's what you're doing, but that's what it's coming off as with the inconsistencies that we're picking up. Your mic is very, very low. I don't know if you're on Bluetooth or something like that. I don't know what happened.
yeah, so there's a lot of people who would prefer to identify as American Indian because that fits their lineage. But somehow they're all saying that they're foundational Black American. And what I'm finding Afro is on this app, they're putting FBA on everybody, meaning, oh, you're FBA, you're FBA, FBA is crazy, FBA thinks this, FBA thinks that. But we pretty much fall in line with how the term was introduced to us. And what she's missing is that ADOS was out there first. They were advocating for descendants of slavery. She's correct. But they don't deny a connection to the continent or the
Yeah, they
transatlantic
don't.
slave trade.
And how
ADOS
you all
actually
say
works. One moment, Mrs. ADOS and FBA, we're going to take Tyreek and Yvette out of it. Adolf, FBA, Friedman, we all work together for the things that we want to do for the lineage. But here on this app, you find people trying to disparage FBA, act like we're a monolith and we're the only ones who think this way. When we got Friedman and Adolf who feel the same way. They just choose to say their ethnicity a different way, but we're all the same lineage. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
And that's exactly what I
Thank
did,
you.
ma'am. So I don't understand where y'all got lost at,
Um,
because that's
we can
exactly
hear
what
you.
I said.
one moment, one moment.
Okay, we can hear you. But notice, ma'am, I can't help but notice that there seems to be inconsistencies in your argument.
Can I explain why?
Why?
Because I'm just understanding what foundational Black Americans mean. So that's why it's an inconsistency. To my knowledge, my first original understanding was the people that were originally from America. That's what I thought it
Well, you
originally
said you
meant.
went to
Now
the
I'm seeing
website
that
and
it's
it was.
attached
You said
to
you did research.
Africa.
But you said you did research, so it's not like you're new to the conversation. You said you did research. You already know what. We didn't say ADOS. You brought ADOS up, so you know what ADOS is. You know what FBA is. So I mean, you've
I
already
originally
done
said
research on this
that
subject.
I thought that I fell under the FBA category. I thought that I was a foundational Black American
Okay,
until I did a little bit more research.
but
So
now you're
now I
saying
feel
you
that I
fall
am
under
just
the
a ADOS
ADOS.
because okay,
Okay,
go ahead.
is
I'll
that
let you talk.
okay?
I'll let you talk. Go ahead.
It's a lineage, right? It's a
Right.
lineage of people who are descendant from American chattel slavery. All right. So
Well,
that's
with that being the understanding, I do fall under that. With that
okay.
being the understanding.
Well, that is what it means. So I'm glad we got that clear.
That's why I said that this is a very informative, panel that you're putting on because it is very informative of these definitions and, so that people know where they are placed at. Because a lot of us, you know what I mean, we know that a lot of us know that we are Black American and some people identify as African American. I'm just saying basically that I do not identify as an African American. I identify as a Black American.
Okay, thank you. Yeah. All right. Well, FBA is the lineage, and I just kind of I guess, explained it further. Thank you. We're gonna get to the next hand
Thank
or the
you.
next person. Thank you. Let me see. Jeff, you with us? It is pretty late. Oh,
Hey,
Jeff.
I'm with you. Good morning, well, morning,
Good
everybody. How
morning.
y'all doing? I've been listening to this live for a while. I get here at work at 2 o'clock in the morning, so I've been listening for a minute, and I've really been enjoying this. I am a Black man. I am 55 years old. I am a retired school teacher. Enjoyed my years doing that, but I just wanted to answer the question that you have here. And what's everyone's issue with FBA? And my personal view, and I'll sum it up in one word, I'll say fear. Because what we're talking about here is a group of people that have been challenged on all fronts. And we have the Michael Myers effect. We just keep coming back. And can you imagine what that looks like to someone else? You keep trying to beat something down and it keeps coming back. There has to be a measure of fear in that. And so that's basically what I wanted to sum it up and say. I think that that's the the biggest issue with FBA.
Can I piggyback off of him, Afro? I,
Mm-hmm.
I believe that it is fair because we're disrupting two major systems in the United States of America. That's immigration and the Democratic Party. I don't believe that the Democrats had this much pushback from Black Americans in a while. And so I think that it does scare them to the point where they send agents and provocateurs and saboteurs to our panels and things like that. So I'm with you, Jeff. It's fair.
Yeah, in fact, I'll be honest, I think it scares everybody because everyone is so used to us having a place. And now we're deciding we don't want the place that you're choosing for us. We're choosing something else. And now you're seeing, different groups are scrambling around trying to figure out what are they doing? And that's the way it comes across to me. The other thing is this here. It's almost like a lot of us seem to have these gifts of intuition. Like I just think about all the people that came up on the panel today. And before they even really got into what they were going to say, our antennas were up. You just felt that they were coming from a
Facts.
disingenuous place. We all felt it.
Yeah.
Every one of us.
You did.
They hate that
So,
that we can
yes,
that was
yes,
literally in one sentence. We know like you're not us. They
that's
not like
exactly
us.
right. That's exact. And we all felt that. And I was sitting here laughing. I'm like, this is like, I'm in the right place.
As an older gentleman, you're older than me. I'm not being disrespectful
Oh,
or
no, go
anything.
ahead, please.
What do you think that a way, you've been probably through more than I'm 44. So
Okay.
what can we do? I think we need to like put this in an envelope in a secret place because I really think this is dangerous. Us having these open panels like this and having these conversations. Yeah, they're
Mm,
productive for us, but anybody can pop in.
I understand exactly what you're
I think
saying.
That's the problem. We've been inviting people to the cookout and just letting our voices and our concerns and, having these constructive conversations be too open for other people.
Mm.
Well, we're
And
I
that,
gonna
I think
discuss
that's
that
that's
at another
been
time. But that is a good question. But
that's
I'm
a
gonna
really
answer
good
that real
question.
quick, and I'm gonna say there are some conversations that we can have publicly amongst each other, and then there are some conversations that we can't.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? A company, there are sometimes companies they have press releases, and then they'll have inside meetings. They'll have meetings where certain members are allowed in, and then other meetings where everybody's allowed in. You know what I'm saying? So there are things that conversations. There are conversations we can have where everybody can listen to, or whatever the case is, and then there are some things that we need to have offline and things like that. Right?
Yeah, I
it's
agree with that.
time's up
Yep.
for press releases and all that stuff. We
Yeah.
gotta
But okay, but I just use that as an
No,
analogy. You know.
yeah, yes,
Um,
but you're absolutely right, brother. I totally agree with that. And I guess the thing is how do we get there? It's to that sister's point. Like, how do we get there? Like, how would we organize something like that? And I'll be perfectly honest with you, I have no idea, but I do know that it's
there are
necessary.
things that we've done. We have people. We got reparations panels all around the country where people are doing that and organizing and talking and conversing behind the scenes and stuff like that, meeting in person and stuff like that. Everything's not on the internet and
Got it.
for
But see, that's the thing. Like,
everybody
that's
to
what people like me
understand.
need to
So
be a
I mean
part
that
of.
happens, and you can have public meetings at your local community center, at your local library, and all of that stuff. So I mean, there's a lot of us who are doing that.
I got you.
Let's
yeah,
keep
I
it.
get it.
Let's get you Ray ads.
Yes, good
How you
morning,
pronounce your name? I
everyone.
know I'm not pronouncing it right. How you pronounce it?
Don't, it's okay. Yeah. um, so good morning, everyone. I am from the Republic of Guinea in West Africa, and I've been listening to this live. I think it's very interesting. Like, I'm kind of like newer to TikTok. Like, I've seen some of these debates and all of that. So I do want to answer the question, what's everyone's issue with FBAs? I don't personally have any issues with FBAs. And then the question, I have two questions, right? So I'm someone that, like, I go out of my way to do business with FBA people. I go out of my way sometimes to select an FBA, healthcare provider when they're available, right? Like right now, I'm writing a book, like a children's book, and I made sure, like my top three people, it was like one African, it was one, FBA lady, right? And I ended up going with the FBA lady. And like it was intentional the way I wanted the person, doing my illustration to be a Black person. And I ended up going with the FBA person, right? Again, like, my question is, right, based on like everything I've heard, how do you feel about people who are not FBA but do support, FBAs and respect them? That's my first question.
Well, I have nothing but respect for people who are working. I mean, the thing is that and I'm speaking for myself. I'm not speaking for everybody. I can't speak for everybody, but I'm gonna speak for myself. Um, I want a certain goal for us to reach. I want us to reach a certain goal. I have a certain agenda in mind about how the world needs to operate, how the lineage needs to operate, or whatever. So I'm very focused on that goal. There have been people who are from outside of the lineage who share in that same agenda and that same vision of the world. And they have contributed to the movement, and they've helped out where they could, and I have nothing but respect for those people. You know what I'm saying? So
Okay.
I don't have an issue if you're genuine. I don't have an issue. You know
Okay.
what I'm saying? And I'm speaking for myself. I take people by case basis though, because I understand one person might be really really cool, really really solid, and but that doesn't speak for their entire community. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
So, it is like that though. But as far as if you know, if you supporting, if you a rider, if you out here working with us, there's no problem, not from me.
Okay. Now the other question I have.
Ma'am, can I ask you a quick question?
Hold on,
Go ahead.
come on.
I mean, I have
How do
a
you know
second question that
that
I wanted
other
to ask.
people that
Let,
you're working
Holly,
with?
let
Holly,
us.
Holly,
Okay.
Holly, Holly.
Thank you.
Please, please, let her get it out. This is her first
Okay. So
submission to the panel. Go ahead.
the second question I have, right, ever since I've been on TikTok, I've heard a lot of, it seems like there's a lot of focus on Africans. And I've heard some things like, not on this, I will give you that Afro Elite, right? I
Hmm.
haven't heard it on your panel, but I've heard for sure like things like, calling, African people slurs and things like that. And, talking about skin color and those kinds of things. But I'm a little bit surprised by the focus on Africans because I'm looking at the numbers and there's only like 2 million Africans in America. When you look at the numbers of Hispanics, it's 66 million. There's 66 million Hispanic people in America. And, they're like the largest minority, right? Next, you have the Asians, 19 million. Next, you have, even the Caribbeans is 4.5 million Caribbeans, right?
Hmm.
In America. Africans only 2 million. And then, but on the continent, you have 1.5 billion Africans. So we're really like a tiny little minority here. So I struggle to understand like the big focus on like Africans, right? So that's my second question too, is like, why is there like that big of a focus when you look at the numbers, right?
Got
It's a
it. Can
whole
you
lot more
land there?
Hispanics here.
Can you
Okay.
land there, please?
Okay.
After I can speak to what she's seeing on TikTok. What she's seeing is a reaction to years of disrespect from the diaspora, Africans included. We understand numbers, right? We understand the government is our main oppressor. However, Africans too are complicit in the way that we're responding to them. Because it amazes me that you could sit in a Pan African live, an African live, and not see the things or the that they do or say to disparage foundational Black Americans, right? So this doesn't work both ways. We were verbally attacked on podcasts and other things, and we're responding to certain things. And I could even take it to the government the way Africans are undermining us. So here's the issue. Somewhere along the line, the diaspora has dropped the ball when it comes to foundational Black Americans. So
Why are we
we're
doing
meeting
this?
y'all. I'm gonna drop you in a minute, Holly.
I'm a
So here's
yeah. Thank
the
you, Holly.
issue.
You have a good night.
Here's the issue. We don't really have a
I hear
chance
her
to
question.
talk
I'm
to
sorry.
one moment. We don't really have a chance to talk to Africans outside of this app. But stop. For me, I don't have that relationship with them. So now I get a chance to address you, and I should not let disrespect, sabotage, undermining, blatant disparaging of my ethnic group, my ancestors, my lineage, to pass. I need to address you where you are, and that's here on these panels. So that's what you're witnessing, a reaction to the disrespect from the Africans. I don't care if it's 1, 5, 2 million, 100,000. They're going to be addressed. And I don't care whose number is bigger. I'm not going to let them slide. I got smoke for everybody. The
And here's
Asians,
let
Latinos,
me say
white
this.
people.
Let me add on to what you're saying, BX. Us addressing them is not we're not doing this disproportionately. We're not doing this disproportionately. I don't know if you've seen, we've been going back and forth with a lot of Hispanics really for the last month or so, kind of all year, to be honest. Ever since Donald Trump got in office and ICE raids have been going on, we've been going back and forth with them pretty much for the whole year about our participation as far as ICE protests, as far as LA, as far as Hispanics building the country. So we've been on their bumper and we've been getting on their case about their anti-black racism. We've been having spaces and lives just about what Mexican OT about a week or so ago. So we get on everybody else's case and we get on everybody else's bumper. We were getting on the quote unquote red Native Americans, the $5 Indians, because they were sitting up there, got smoked with Beyonce about the Buffalo Soldier shirt. So we get on everybody else's case. It just seems as if every time we get on a case of anybody from Africa, it's all like, okay, well, let's leave them alone and focus on another group of people. No, we're going to handle people accordingly. You know what I'm saying? The way we handled the Hispanics, that was accordingly. The way we handled the $5 Indians, that was accordingly. And now it's on to the diaspora. We're going to handle that situation, or that issue rather, accordingly. And we're having this conversation. We're handling these issues as they come up and as they need to be addressed and by their priority. You do have, and we don't use slurs on my live. We do not allow that. We don't use slurs on my live. However, there are some people who say mean and disparaging things about them. Okay, we don't do disrespect here. We do education. However, you also have to admit that there are several other lives, not just on this app, but on this app, hosted by Africans, who are spewing very hateful, stereotypical, and racist things about foundational Black Americans.
Yeah,
You know,
I've
so what
seen
we're
some
hold
of.
on, I'm almost land. What you're seeing is a blow for blow between FBA and tethers. That's what you're seeing, is a blow for blow. And you're getting a little, I'm saying this respectfully, you're getting a little hurt by that because you feel as if some of the things that the FBA is saying in response is a little hurtful because it hits kind of hurt close to home, rather. You know, so when we say something about Africa or an African homeland or whatever the case is, that hits a little close to home, and you overlook the fact that an African person said something about Chicago, our dads not being in our lives, welfare, all of that stuff, because that doesn't hit close to home. It's easy for you to overlook that.
Can I respond to that?
Yeah, what do you have to say? Yeah.
No, I don't overlook that. If I hear it, like I'll check it or address it, right? It's just like, this is not, the platform where somebody's saying something about somebody in Chicago, right? I wanted to address something that somebody asked in the comments. So
But hold on, man. But you said you wouldn't overlook that, but you said that you hear slurs from FBA towards Africans. Do you not hear slurs from Africans towards FBA also?
right, but this is not an African live, right? So that's why I didn't
No,
address it.
but you didn't hear any slurs in this live at all. You're referring to other lives that you
Right.
heard. You know what I'm saying? So you're referring to other lives that you heard, and the only people that you brought up that way is FBAs. You're not going to bring up the fact that Africans also have been using slurs against us.
Right. I would bring that up with them, not with you.
Well,
And
okay, no, but ma'am, you brought it up to put it in the context of that we are like pretty much beating down on Africans, even though they're a small percentage of the population, and there are other groups of people that we should be addressing. Okay, that's I remember what you said. I remember everything you said. You brought it up to frame it as if we are just disproportionately attacking or addressing Africans, and we're not having that same energy with anybody else. And we have established to you we do have that energy with everybody else, but the reason we're having this energy with Africans is really because a lot of them have the same, if and more intense, energy with us. But you didn't frame it as if this is a blow for blow. You framed it as if we're kind of picking on the little guy. That's how you framed it when you initially came up here.
okay.
I completely agree with what you just said. That's the way it came across to me as well.
Am I able to address? Somebody asked me
Go ahead.
if I knew. Somebody asked me in the comments if I know what akata means, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, in order to address that, I will say, like, from my understanding, like, that's a Nigerian American word, right? So before coming to America, I had never heard that word before. And in the time that I've been in America, I've heard it used twice total by Africans, right? The first time I had no idea what the guy was talking about. He said something like, "Oh, you're not like the Akata girls." And I'm like, "Who?" I had no idea what he was talking about. And then he explained to me what he meant. I immediately felt like it was weird. Like, why would he, like, what does that word even mean, right? So then later on, I saw some, in more recent years, I saw some discussions about it online. And then, the second time that I heard it used, right, it was one of my friends actually that used it, that has a lot of Nigerian friends, right? Like, that hangs out with a lot of Nigerians. And I immediately told her that, that's kind of like not a positive word to use. And she wanted to, initially she was kind of like, no, it's just a joke or whatever. Like, my Nigerian friends use it. And this is what I told her. I said, have you ever used that word in the presence of a Black American? And she said, no. And I said, there you go. So, like, the reason why you've never used it in the presence of a Black American is because it's a negative word. And she immediately acknowledged, and she was like, oh, I never thought about it that way. Right. So those are the two times that I've heard it used, because somebody in the comments was saying, oh, everybody uses that word. And I said, no, that's not from where I'm from.
So
I
one
think
minute,
the
one
person
minute.
who
It's not
brought
a
it up in the
Nigerian.
comments, just wanted to acknowledge the fact that the word Akata is used as a slur in these spaces, not just these spaces, but other conversations, podcasts, Twitter spaces, all of that stuff. And Akata is not only used by Nigerians, and there are other words, but those are slurs that are used against us. And they brought it up, the person, because I saw when the person brought it up, they brought it up because you brought up the fact that there are slurs that we use against Africans. And when it comes to Akata, a lot of people try to downplay the fact that that is a slur in the first place, or that is even ever brought up.
Right, and it's not a Nigerian American word. It's a Nigerian word. It originated on the continent. And then the Somalis have their word and stuff like that. I'm not too familiar with your country, nor have I interacted with anybody from there besides you. So I have to take you at your word, right? But we do know where Akata is a Yoruban word. It's meant to mean a lost or stray cat, right? However, it becomes derogatory when they only use it against Black Americans. And what does the continent and or the diaspora usually say about us? We don't know where we come from. We don't know this. We don't know that. So when they use the term Akata, it's disparaging to us. So that's the issue with that word, Ray, if you didn't know.
Right. And I was just explaining how I had to educate someone, about it, that, I mean, initially the person was trying to say, oh, no, it's just a joke. And I said, no, if it was just a joke, or if it was nothing, you wouldn't say that behind, Black Americans. Right.
But okay, now you acknowledge that that is disrespectful and offensive, right?
Right. Of course.
Okay,
Yeah.
so
I've never used that word.
so when
And people
so
from my
now
country
that I'm
use it.
telling you, I want to get your opinion on this. I want to hear what you have to say about this.
Mhm.
Now that I'm telling you, Akata is used as a slur against foundational Black Americans, and there are other words that are used as slurs against foundational Black Americans, right? Um, and it's a lot of disrespect. It's a lot of stereotypes. It's a lot of things that are used as disrespect towards our lineage. And what you're seeing, and you said you came here based off of what you're seeing. What you're seeing is that we are addressing and reaching the same level. We're reaching the same energy that they're reaching, because a lot of this, y'all don't know where y'all from. Y'all got issues in Chicago. Y'all slave babies. All of this stuff, the negative stereotypical stuff that we've heard, is now being met with the same energy. So now that you know that it's going on on both sides, let's say they're both wrong, what do you have to say about it now?
What do I have to say about, like, the whole
Yeah,
discussion?
in the spaces that you've heard, let's say the space you heard, as wrong as it is, there is also a space hosted by an African that is equally as disparaging and disrespectful.
Mm-hmm. What's your question?
So now what do you have to say about why we're addressing them?
I don't think I understand your question.
Okay, when you first came in here, you were making it seem as if we were disparaging them disproportionately, and we were only focused on them, and it seemed like it was for no reason. Now that you understand what our reason is for addressing their disrespect, now what do you have to say?
I mean, I don't, I guess I understand, where you're coming from, like I said, I do respect, your history and everything like that and your culture. Like, one example that I always give is like, when an African person dies here in America, killed by the police, guess who is there supporting and marching for them, right? BX, who Amadou Diallo is? He was from my country. And it's Black Americans that, helped his family fight, because that was in the 90s it happened. He got shot like 40 times.
Okay, wait, whoa, whoa, whoa,
Okay,
whoa,
all
whoa.
right,
You're
all right,
using
okay,
unfriendly
okay, okay,
TikTok
okay,
language.
okay,
I
okay,
do
okay.
understand who Amadou Diallo is. I know who Abner Louima is, both from Gene. Like, I know their stories.
But
I know that, but,
we're gonna start wrapping
so we
things. We're
know.
gonna wrap things up. It's like 4:30 in the
Okay.
morning where I am. So like
Right.
the sun is on its way up. The sun is right around the
Uh-huh.
corner. Let's start wrapping things up. Did we answer your question, ma'am?
You did answer my question. It's kind of like a matter of, you're pretty much matching energy from your perspective. So,
Now that you know that, there are Africans who are doing that, are you going to go in their spaces and are you going to address them the way you addressed us?
well, I have been there and, and I've had people attack me. Yeah.
Well, if you've been there and you had people attack you, how are you confused about why we're making the space?
No, like I had never asked a question to an FBA group because I had went on like a FBA group and like they were literally cursing me. Like I think that the girl
No,
Halo, it was her. She was like
okay, hold
very
on. Now,
aggressive.
no, you've been to an African space and you've addressed their disrespect.
I've spoken on there and have, been attacked. Yes.
Okay, if you've spoken on there and you've been attacked, you should understand why we are making while we're matching that energy, right?
No, because I'm not you. Like I'm not you literally. Like so I, unless you explain it to
Okay,
me.
okay, now come on
Yeah.
now. Come on now, because you came up here and you were making it seem as if we were just giving out slurs and being hateful towards a group of people who were innocently just standing there.
I never used the word innocent. I was just
So
asking
if
a
they're
question
not
'cause
innocent, why are you addressing the fact that we're addressing them? Why were you questioning why we are addressing them?
because I want to understand what's going on.
Okay,
And now I
that's not
do
how you
because you've
framed it,
already answered that
because
question.
you said, "Oh, I'm on these spaces or whatever." You did say you were new. That is what you said. You
I
said you were
am.
new,
Hmm.
and you said so far you've seen us use a bunch of slurs and be pretty much hateful to a group of people who make up a small percentage. Now you're saying that you've seen hate from this group of people and you've addressed it and gotten cursed out. So either you know why we're addressing them or you didn't know why we're addressing them.
I did not know why you were addressing them because that's the first time that I've asked that question
Okay,
and
so
first time that
so we're going to the original story then. You didn't know why.
okay. Well, hey, have a great morning.
Okay, yeah,
I
you
think
have a good,
it
yeah,
was
all right.
great. Yeah.
Yeah,
Thank you.
because you told two different stories there, ma'am, and we caught it. But it's late, so I don't even got time to get into that. And she left. She left voluntarily. Y'all
Hey,
notice that?
brother, this is exactly what gets on my nerves. That right there is exactly what you know what it is. So here's the thing: you can sit, and it happens every time. You can sit and listen to all the things that we do, and you can talk about all the things that we do from your perspective. But as soon as we, like you said, when we match that energy, then all of a sudden it's a problem. And then when you catch people in it and you figure out where they're coming from, you know what happens? You notice how they always dance around it? They never actually give you a straight answer. That gets on my nerves. I'm telling you, that gets on my nerves so bad.
They're always prepared for us to be the bad guy. They're already prepared for us to be the
Right,
wrong.
Right.
right.
I
Because
need to cut
because
in. I need to cut in. I'm sorry.
go
So
ahead.
she writes in the comments, you always do this. And I just commented to her to please rejoin to address or defend her statement. Because she's speaking to Afro Elite. He doesn't really be on this app unless he's going live. And the reason why he may go live over here as much as he does is because I say, Afro, you have a fan, you have a base over here. Please come host the live for us on TikTok, right? So she needs to come up and address that because when she said, well, "You always do this," but I thought, it's weird. There she thought she could tell us what she means.
Yeah, so what I meant to say, like the host Afro Elite, like he does kind of let people speak, but then I've noticed that, even with other people on this live, it's kind of like you let people speak, but then you want to, start like, picking at like everything the person said and like, try to find like another, like, I don't know how to. My first language is French, so I don't even know how to express it. But you try to find something negative about the person, like, oh, you have a hidden agenda. Oh, well, you contradicted yourself. He's been doing that, which, I mean, that's fine. I do appreciate your platform still. I think you're very open. I like, a lot of the things that you've said. But I'm not going to address you keeping, like if you continue to ask the same question. I already told you that, it's a genuine question that I asked you. I asked you two questions. I said, how do you feel? How do you view the people who are supportive towards FBAs, who are not FBAs supportive toward FBAs? The other question I asked is, when I look at the numbers, it's not a whole lot of Africans in America, right? I said it's a whole lot more Hispanics, right? And so I was under the impression that there's like a disproportionate like focus, on the FBA, lives on Africans, right? And you did answer that question, and I'm satisfied with that answer. That's all it is.
Hey,
Okay,
you
well,
mind if
here's
you
the
mind if
thing.
I
Here's the
can I
thing.
say something to her real
I'm not
quick?
trying. Hold on. Let me address that. I'm not trying to do no one up on people or anything like that. When people were interrupting you, I drop people and I try to let people speak. I don't do that to everybody. But the thing is, if we're going to have a movement where we're going to make progression and have this space not just be entertainment but progress, we're going to have to be genuine about what we're saying. We're going to have to be genuine. So when I see somebody say something in their initial statement and then they counter that stance with a follow-up statement, then I can tell either one of those statements are disingenuous. What I've been picking up is when I hear people tell two different angles or two different stories, or if you're saying one thing in the comments and you're not saying anything, I'm not going to sit up here and allow you to be disingenuous, because this is why we don't solve problems. It's because we got a lot of people coming up lying. We have a lot of people coming up telling stories and having secret agendas and different angles. I often give people the benefit of the doubt, so much so that people get upset with me for being too graceful. But I give people the benefit of the doubt for that reason. So nobody can say this is an echo chamber or whatever the case, or I didn't hear anybody else. I heard you out. The reason why I got on what you were saying is because you said you were new to these conversations, and what you've heard so far is slurs from Black Americans towards Africans. And I didn't stop you. I let you finish. I addressed the fact that we've gotten on everybody else's community and we handle everybody else proportionately. And then I say, what you are seeing, and what me and BX said, what you were seeing was a back and forth between Africans and African American and Black Americans. That's what you were seeing. And that they also use slurs. Slurs you acknowledge. You acknowledge a kata is a slur. So you acknowledged that. You also witnessed disrespect. You said you witnessed disrespect from Africans towards Black Americans. And I said, that's very interesting. because your initial statements, you only acknowledge the disrespect Black Americans gave towards Africans. And I addressed that. Okay. Because what that means is that either you're changing your story or you omitted that, you didn't add that in when you first came up to say something. And that's disingenuous. That's why I said that.
Okay. Yeah, I do feel like you're twisting what I said. But that's fine. Like I'm okay with that.
Ma'am, I'm not.
Exactly it.
What am I twisting what you said, ma'am?
Because, you're basically saying like you are an FBA platform. Why would I ask you questions about what, is being said on somewhere else?
What, ma'am? You came up and you stated what you've heard in other people's lives. I didn't ask you. You stated that. You volunteered that information. And you volunteered the information from an angle that we were doing them wrong. And when I addressed that and said, okay, well, they're doing
Like
the
you're
same
putting
thing.
words in my mouth. I didn't say you're doing.
I didn't say you said that, but your angle was what your angle was.
And I specifically said I haven't heard, the monkeys and colorism type comments. I haven't heard that on your live. I said that.
Okay, yes, you did say that. But you also brought up what you heard on somebody else's live. Did you not?
I did.
Did you say that?
I did.
Okay.
Because some of those people were on this live as well. That's why.
Okay. And you saying you heard slurs. You said you heard a couple lives. Actually, that is what you said. Mm-hmm. Not just one. But you heard a couple lives. And you said you heard slurs towards Africans on those lives.
Yeah. The types of slurs that the white tea people use, like monkeys.
Okay.
That kind of stuff.
Okay. And you brought up and you said those things, and then we addressed it. We also said there are very similar lives hosted by Africans that have the very same disrespect that you're questioning us about. Okay. And then you said you've seen that and you've gone in those rooms and they cursed you out for defending us, right?
Right.
So if you're saying that you see them being a problem and us being a problem, why did you initially frame it as if we are the problem?
No, that's your perspective and your understanding. That you're the one that's coming up with that narrative, right? That I framed it that way, right?
Okay, man.
Because I'm asking you a very specific question as an FBA, right? I'm not asking you the same question that I would ask.
Okay, I'm going to say this and we're going to be done with this conversation.
Right.
You didn't just ask a question. You also gave what you sell. You also gave your perspective of the situation. Okay. Now I'm losing my patience. Okay. Because you didn't just ask, hey, what's going on? You gave a perspective. And in the perspective that you gave, we were the bad guys in the perspective. That's what you said. That's why you brought up the fact that we were using slurs and whatever the case. So I said, okay, fine. If we're going to say that, you also have to acknowledge the fact that there are African spaces that also use slurs. You said, okay, cool. I said, if that's the case, why didn't you bring that up in your initial argument? Because the perspective that you gave, you volunteered, was that we were the bad guys, ma'am. That's what you did.
Hey, can I?
And
That's
we're
the
not
part
going to
right.
sit up here and you're going to sit up here and act like
I want to remind you that you also told me, you acknowledged the fact that me as an African could get offended by some of these things that I've heard, right? You said that.
Uh-huh.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure you remember saying that.
I do, yes. And that's why I said it bothers you and why you overlook our disrespect, because that doesn't bother you as much.
Well, I have addressed it. So.
Well, can I say that's?
Okay,
I think that's the part right there.
And you have a good night. And that's not what you initially said. Do y'all notice that? Do y'all notice I let people speak, I let people speak, I let people speak, but do you see, okay, they come up here and all of them do this, and I let this go on for a very good lesson. I hope y'all was taking notes. They all do this, come up as if they don't know what's going on, come up playing obtuse, come up playing clueless. Like, I just want to know. I have this question. I'm curious. I'm a good person. I'm just curious. But the angle is like, we're the bad guys punching down on a group of people. Why can't we all get along? Why are you guys bullying everybody else? Notice the curiosity that they frame this in is that we're bullies to everybody else. And then and when we say, okay, they do the same thing, then it's, oh, you're backtracking, which is what she was doing. You're backtracking, you're telling a different story, you're adding more details to it. Okay, so you do know what's going on then. You do know. So that's why I'm saying, if you see what they've said, why are you asking why we're having these spaces then? Oh, that's not what I said. You're backtracking because I caught what you said.
You know what did it for
Right.
me?
And
You know what did it for me? I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, but I just want to say
no,
this
go
real
ahead.
quick. But it was when you had asked that question the first time, and you said that, do you not notice what's going on the other side? Here was her quote, and this is exactly what she said. She said, I'm not talking about them, I'm talking about you. And that's what threw me. I don't know if the rest of y'all caught, but it was in
I
that
did, yeah.
energy. That's exactly what she said. And I'm like, so we're just going to address an issue from a one-sided point of view is basically what you're saying to us, because you're
Yeah.
not willing to
Yeah.
acknowledge, and until you started really digging, that's when she had finally acknowledged it. But from the beginning, she did not. She did not.
And she
I
also
listened.
gave data. She also gave stats talking about how, in population wise, Africans were a smaller demographic. So that it made no sense for us to be quote
Correct.
unquote
Correct.
focusing on that. And we
Correct.
like, we not focusing on them.
Right.
We addressing everybody.
Right. Right. That's
So
exactly how
here's
that
my
went.
issue. I heard that she said she was new. And then this was the first time on on your platform. But then she gets in the comments and says, "You always do this." So she obviously has been in the chat and stuff for a while. Maybe she
Mm.
could have meant her first time joining the panel. But as I said, this is a reaction to the disrespect that we've been facing for the whole diaspora. And when I say I got smoke for everybody, I do. I've been boycotting the agents since 2016 for things they've done to us in New York. I mean, people only get offended or see what they want to see because it affects them.
Mm-hmm.
Her people disparaging us does not affect her, but us, because we have one of the loudest voices out here, it affects her and her scheme of whatever it is she's gone through. But I'm of the belief that we should no longer coddle them. And that's what Pan Africanism was doing, the way that we were doing it. And then we always forget the Africans. White people would tell me, well, Africans stole their own people. I said, no, they didn't. They didn't sell nobody. Then you do the research, and there were tribes that were selling other tribes and stuff like that. At some point in time, Africans have to do some inner reflecting as to how come the relationship has changed dramatically, that people are leaving that ideology behind and focusing more on a delineation mindset.
Mm-hmm. That's very true. I'm gonna say this, and then BX, I'm gonna let you close us out, right? Um, the whole
Okay.
notice when people ask the question and they kind of act like they don't know or whatever, and they don't know why there's a issue with the diaspora. Notice that they come to us with, can't we all get along, and can't we all focus on another issue and a bigger problem, a bigger
Right.
oppressor or whatever. They're
Yeah.
getting us to do that. They don't go to the Pan-African spaces and say the same thing and take the same energy with them. She acknowledges that she's seen it. She claims that she was in there and they cursed her out. Notice that they don't make the argument to them. Shouldn't they be trying to get along with us? It's always us. Shouldn't we be standing down and not acknowledging their disrespect? All of the can't we all get along is pretty much telling foundational Black Americans, can't y'all stand down? Can't
And we
y'all
ain't
lay
doing that
off
no
of them?
more.
Can't y'all
We ain't
turn
Hmm.
doing
the
that
other
no more.
cheek? But y'all
Nope.
don't take that to other people, which you acknowledge they do the same thing, but they're not asking them to stand down. So you're not going to be
And
able
we
to
ain't doing
ask
it
us to
either.
stand down. No, if we going blow for blow, don't get mad when it hit close to home. Okay, and then because it hit close to home, because you heard a word or you heard a talking point that kind of offends you a little bit, you gonna come up here and get us to lay off. Oh no, yo folks shouldn't have been throwing stones from glass houses because you live in that. Hey, I'm sorry, but your people was throwing stones from glass houses. Stop them from throwing stones, and we gonna probably stop. That's just what it's gonna be.
That's simple. It's
Word.
that simple.
And I just wanted to say this, and I'm gonna drop. Thank you for one having this platform and it being a positive space for FBA and giving everybody a voice. I just want to highlight that they always use another talking point, which is for us to focus on YT supremacy when we know like y'all not focused on that at all. So just that, to me, that's another distraction. FBAs are focused on themselves. We know that the opposition gonna do what the opposition do, and we always gonna keep distance. We're gonna keep distance between us and them. Number two is this whole thing with the denial. We acknowledge on the world stage by scientists, by the highest experts in the room, that Africans under the umbrella, descendants of Africans and Africans themselves, did everything, created everything before everyone else. But you gonna tell me these people didn't sail around the world before everyone else? You gonna tell me that these people didn't touch these shores before everyone else? When
Right.
we did quite literally everything before everyone else? So just common sense would tell you, if these folks did every single thing before everyone else, they sailed the world before everyone else and hit these shores before everyone else. So that whole we are not indigenous. And by the way, to be indigenous does not have a time attached to it. There is no
Facts.
time attached to being indigenous. So just think about that. Common sense would tell you the latter, y'all. Like, wake up to this propaganda and this foolishness. And that's all I gotta say. Thank you, my brother. Thank all of y'all. And I might see y'all tomorrow. I might not, but thank you.
Hey, when the next time you gonna have this up, bro? Because I definitely like this, man.
Man, I'm trying to get a schedule kind of consistently. Um, let me see.
I'm on the
I
East
might.
Coast, so it's almost 6 o'clock where I am right
Yeah,
now.
y'all up late, and we still got hundreds of people up in here, man. Y'all ain't.
That's and people
I'm
requesting
saying,
Afro.
Yeah, and
yeah.
I see, but we can't. I mean, we just been here
It's
since
only
the.
4. You should let them up, Afro.
Oh,
You know what it is?
BS, bro. Now I
I
gotta
took a
do it.
nap, so I'm refreshed. I fell asleep right before you went live. I had to. And instead of waking me up, my son removed my phone, my headphones, and allowed me to sleep. And I woke up just in time. I got to catch the rest of this. So while I'm closing us out, Afro, Jeff over there kind of stepped on my toes asking you when you're going to come back, but I understand why. So I got to ask you, Afro, when are you coming back again? And will it be this topic, or will we revisit the relationship between us and the American Indians? Because we did put a pin in that.
We did put a pin in that. I kind of want to. I want to revisit this topic though. I definitely want to revisit this topic a little bit more than the us and the American Indian thing.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I'm probably gonna do if not. It's probably not gonna be today, which is Wednesday. It's probably gonna be
Okay.
tomorrow, Thursday, before my
hmm
live stream on YouTube. So
Okay.
yeah, so it's probably gonna be then. But BX, I'll let you know.
Okay, and I just want to say thank you. So I'm now modding for Afro Elite channel on YouTube. It is Afro Elite, and he also has For the Culture, where you can catch replays of his TikTok lives on For the Culture. And he has a beautiful co-host when he does the podcast segment, ZZ Rants, who's also on YouTube. So for those who haven't followed the platform yet, please give Afro Elite a follow. And as we exit, kindly click the heart by his name and just send the coin up to join his team. It helps keep his platform in the algorithm. I'm sorry I missed the first half. I can catch the replay, and I'll also catch you tomorrow when you go live. And if you go live anytime this week on TikTok again, totally here for it. And I kind of want to be here from the beginning of what's everyone's issue, because I can provide feedback and pushback. As you see, the data came up, and I was able to describe what was happening here in the TikTok world as opposed to the other social media sites.
Yeah. Yep. Thank you all. You all have a
You're
good
welcome.
morning.
Morning.
Definitely. You
You
too, my
too.
brother. Y'all have a good one.
Peace. Yes, you too. Peace, love, and reparations, Foundation of Black America.